Hey guys, welcome to part 4 of What If Naruto Became the Hunter Fox of Konoha. If you enjoy the video then like, share and subscribe as it inspires me to make more such videos. So let's get started. Chapter 16 Fated Battles. Uchiha Sasuke was considered a balanced individual. Not much would faze the raven-haired Uchiha as he dealt with his enemies with utmost finesse and tranquility. However, beneath that stoic exterior, everyone who knew him knew how to push the right buttons, which undeniably ended up being his older brother Itachi in some attempt of comparison between the two, just like what Naruto did. It caused Sasuke to lose whatever cool he was having at the present situation before he charged Naruto with his sword. But nothing infuriated Sasuke more than hearing those 3 words. Foolish little brother. As Sasuke diverted his attention from Naruto, he looked at the source of everything he'd been through since the day his entire family was murdered. All those days when he'd sleep alone, only to wake up and realize that he was indeed alone with no one to comfort him. His grip on his sword was getting tighter by the minute, and all images that he barred deep within his mind resurfaced. His brother, though, maintained the same look he had the night he killed the entire Uchiha clan, looking like everything he did to Sasuke was a common occurrence. Naruto, for his part, watched the staring between 2 brothers as Itachi and Kisame would approach the group of shinobis. The blonde had now no misconception of an escape route since he was going to participate at the showdown exams in Iwa, and Kami forbid he missed it, and lost the chance to get back out there and hunt more missing nins. Nevertheless, the concept of fighting against an S-ranked missing nin like Kisame one day before the exams could cause trouble for the blonde afterward, so a cautious course must be taken in this manner. Naruto was diverted from his thoughts when Itachi thought about starting a conversation with his little brother. I can see you've grown, Sasuke. You're not charging me while screaming with Haddock's technique. Suddenly memories hit Sasuke of that day when Itachi and Kisame were to capture Naruto at an inn near Konoha and Sasuke appearing to fight Itachi charging with a kudari. Itachi, however, caught Sasuke's wrist before shoving his body to the nearby wall, before delivering solid punches to his stomach and face. The memory stopped with Itachi whispering something close to Sasuke's ear. I loathed you just like you said. It made me stronger because of it. I waited for this day and trained my body day after day so that one day, today, I'd kill you and revenge the Uchiha clan for good. Nevertheless, I'm just curious about something. Itachi's attention was piqued as Sasuke continued, not even aware now that the entire group was just standing there, listening to 2 brothers bickering. The night you murdered the Uchiha clan. There was no way you could have done that by yourself, no matter how strong you were at the time. You couldn't have done it on your own. Who helped you? At the realization of some and question of others, Itachi curved a smile on his face, applauding his little brother for his cunningness. Naruto, though, appearing stoic at the situation, didn't think much of the event until right now. Sure, Itachi was a genius and an army captain at the time of the massacre, but wiping out one of Konoha's strongest clans in one night alone was ridiculous to say the least. Surely, someone helped him and his interest grew tenfold. Not to mention the fact that Jiraiya on his right was looking rather strange in this situation, as in the information didn't shock him at all. The pervert knows something we don't. I doubt someone as insightful as the Sandaime Hokage at the time would let such a thing happen under his nose, and none of his army patrols knew before it was too late, Kyuubi said, inside Naruto's mind. And since Jiraiya was his student, most likely that he knows a thing or two about the Uchiha massacre that wasn't made public. I wonder what happened that night. Naruto suddenly broke the link with his jailer as Itachi started answering Sasuke's question. Certainly, I did have help in getting rid of our clan, and this man happens to be one of the founders of the hidden village in the leaves. One Uchiha Madara. It was only shock that met everyone as Sasuke remembered when he was inside Naruto's mindscape, talking to Kyuubi about this certain Uchiha and that his chakra was more evil than Uchiha Madara himself. Naruto remembered that scene as well, and he could hear the fox snarling inside his cage, which meant that something must have happened in the past between Kyuubi and Madara. Jiraiya this time looked shocked as well, since Madara was the man who fought the Showdown Hokage for the right to lead Konoha as the first Hokage. It couldn't be possible that the man is still alive. One person of the group, though, was getting bored at this situation, and such person was Hoshigaki Kisame. "Oh Itachi, not that I mind you two bonding with one another, but this entire situation is boring me out of my mind. I thought we came here after the Kyubi brat." Itachi broke his attention from his brother and looked at Kisame before closing his eyes. "Sasuke's presence here complicates things a bit. We are still not aware of Naruto-kun's abilities yet, and I don't believe my little brother will allow me to join you in the fight. Also, the San Andrea is with the brat, so it's unlikely that you succeed in this fight alone. Although it's up to you whether you take on those two or not. Sasuke's team won't fight you if you don't get in my fight against my little brother." Itachi's analysis was indeed thorough, but Kisame's broad shark teeth smile pretty much responded the question, even though the Uchiha wanted for Kisame to flee and wait for him to launch a co-op attack and capture the Jinchuriki. Meanwhile, Sasuke's group were having the same discussion. However, unlike Kisame, his group was loyal to Sasuke, so they would do exactly what he ordered them to do. They were not to get involved in any of the fights unless one of them interrupts his fight against Itachi, meaning if either Kisame or Naruto Jiraiya moved to attack, they were to intercept. Naruto and Jiraiya were looking at the Akatsuki team both with a frown on their faces, as a full-scale battle was, right now, inevitable, even though Jiraiya wanted to take the easiest way out, which meant entering Io territory and mingle with the crowd. "Naruto, I know that you're stronger now and probably acquired more experience against missing nins, but you still do to face S-ranked missing nins in full combat. Those you faced either underestimated your skills or didn't fight you directly. Kisame's same hata is what we need to worry about. It eats chakra, so we have to maintain a distance," Jiraiya explained. "I'm aware of that sort of his, Jiraiya. However, while it's true we have to maintain some distance, the sword can't absorb two chakras at once, allowing teamwork to deliver the killing blow to Kisame." "A good idea," Jiraiya wondered. The perverted Sannin remembered Naruto's explanation about him being a demon, because he is Kyubi and Kyubi is him, which meant that when the blonde fought against an opponent, the fox would participate as well. "A great idea, Naruto. Let's not get carried away though." With that, the shinobi scattered throughout the field in order to separate the two fights. Itachi and Sasuke remained in the same position. Naruto, Jiraiya and Kisame moved to another clearing a few miles away from their fight. Of course, since Naruto didn't want to miss the opportunity of capturing either one of the Ukas, he left a cage bunshin next to Sasuke's group, which was concealed behind some foliage. Sasuke x Itachi . After the whole discussion, the Uchiha brothers stood in front of the other, as they analyzed the other with their Sharingan. Out of nowhere, Sasuke charged against Itachi with his Kusanagi in speeds unseen before. But Itachi's Sharingan was better evolved, hence why he could see Sasuke's movements before he even made them, as he parried the sword with a simple kunai. However, before he could even flip his body to deliver a solid kick to Sasuke's sternum, the younger one already backflipped, before smashing his hands on the ground, sending a Kudari current towards his brother. Sasuke wasn't aware, but by the time he flipped, he locked eyes for 1 second with Itachi, before being on the receiving end of a genjutsu. The Kudari Nagashi hit Itachi dead on, but before Sasuke moved for the killing blow, Itachi's body dissolved into crows, which then moved to charge at Sasuke. Suddenly, the crows transformed into shurikens, before Sasuke dissolved the genjutsu just moments away from the shurikens landing on his body. Afterwards, they remained to stare at each other as Sasuke received the information about Itachi's intention of flooding the field with numerous projectiles. He then unrolled the straps that covered his wrists before two seal arrays appearing. It was 1 second after he positioned 2 fingers on the seal that Itachi initiated the attack, but with each shuriken Itachi would throw, Sasuke also had one to parry, transforming instead of a showdown with sparks as metal collided against metal. As they stopped, the shurikens appeared on the ground scattered, as the Uchiha stared at one another once again. However, Sasuke flinched upon seeing Itachi's Mangenkyu Sharingan develops, before Itachi was in front of him out of a sudden, before landing a strong kick on Sasuke's stomach, sending him flying towards a thick tree, before hitting full force. Even though blood came off his mouth, Sasuke tried doing some hand seals for the grand fireball technique, but Itachi appeared by his side instantly, before holding one of Sasuke's hands up his head and deliver a solid punch to Sasuke's abdomen, taking the air out of him for a moment. As Sasuke was trying to overcome the pain, Another Itachi appeared in front of him as the first one hold him in place. "Let me tell you something, Sasuke, about the Mangenkyu Sharingan," Itachi said, alerting Sasuke. "Although its power is unmatched, it comes with a price of eternal blindness. The one so far that overcame this obstacle was Madara himself. He confided to me how he was able to overcome. Do you want to know, Otoyo?" Sasuke snarled at his brother, but he couldn't force himself out of Itachi's hold, at least not without the cursed seal he was holding for after. He had a brother Uchiha Izuna who, like him, managed to develop the Mangenkyu Sharingan. However, whereas his brother didn't need to worry about it, Madara suffered a terrible illness and would in little time lose his sight forever. In an act of desperation, though, Madara took off his brother's eyes and implanted on himself, allowing him the eternal Mangenkyu Sharingan. Sasuke flinched at the idea and didn't need to be explained twice about Itachi's intentions. "Now Sasuke, just like Madara's brother, your Sharingan will serve to prevent me from being blind." His voice was increasing as it appeared that the man was losing his mind to greed. "Give me your eyes, Sasuke." With that, Itachi positioned his fingers around Sasuke's eyes before squeezing with force and plunging out the right one. Sasuke's screams echoed throughout the clearing as he fought desperately from Itachi's hold, unsuccessful. He cursed as Itachi placed the Sharingan inside a glass compartment filled with some preservation liquid. "Now, I'll have the other one." As Itachi was about to take the other eye, the cursed seal mark started to appear around Sasuke's body, until the first transformation finished, increasing Sasuke's strength, allowing him to be freed from Itachi's hold. The new source of chakra, though, had a new effect on Sasuke as he suddenly dropped on the ground, coughing blood. The strangest thing, though, was that Itachi was on the ground as well, panting from overexertion. "Impossible, he managed to break my Tsukuyomi," Itachi thought as suddenly, he started coughing uncontrollably, spilling blood on the ground. The effects of the Mangenkyu Sharingan were getting on him, and he didn't have much time. He looked as Sasuke began doing some hand seals before finishing with the tiger seal. While he was coughing non-stop, it didn't mean that Sasuke would wait for him to recover. So, with speed unheard of, Itachi matched Sasuke's technique hand seal for hand seal until both ended with the tiger seal at the same time. Katan Gaokakir no Jutsu Fire Release, Grand Fireball Jutsu. It was a clash of titans as the temperature near the region raised tenfold. Each Uchiha was wasting their chakra in maintaining the technique, only to see who has the strongest, seeing as both attacks pretty much settled in the middle of the field, being only kept because of Sasuke and Itachi using their chakras. However, after a while Sasuke's fireball started to win as it kept pushing Itachi's inch by inch. At this moment, Itachi knew his technique was weaker than his little brother, but that mattered little in comparison to one fire technique he had stored inside his right Mangenkyu Sharingan eye. Amaterasu, Goddess of the Sun Jutsu. Naruto/Jiraiya x Kisame . A good 5 miles separated the fights as Kisame was watching his enemies with that irritating shark grin on his face. Those who didn't know him would think that the man was mocking his enemies, however that wasn't the case. As a swordsman, Kisame would constantly put his skills to the test against powerful shinobi as it was a thrill for him, his heroine. Plus, he could feel Samehada's giddiness to suck the Jinchuriki chakra whole. Which meant that he wasn't the only one interested in this fight against a Sannin and a Jinchuriki. The blue man looked around and saw that the field wasn't much to his liking. Scratch that, it was disadvantageous to a Suton user to not have a direct source of water to use his jutsus. Suddenly, making some hand seals, Kisame started generating torrents from inside his body until it was impossible to hold it inside as he exhaled a huge torrent of water. Suton Bakoshi Shao Water Release, Bursting Water Collision Waves Jutsu. As the river was being formed, Naruto and Jiraiya frowned their eyebrows in response to Kisame's strategy. Nevertheless, an advantage like this, although highly seized by Kisame, wasn't enough to grant him victory against a Sannin and an A-ranked hunternin. Jiraiya turned to Naruto and went over the information he had on Kisame so far, which could aid them on this battle. "Naruto, as you know, his skills bend forward Suton techniques and Kenjutsu. However, we'll have to worry about that sword of his and try keeping it from absorbing our chakras as we figure a way of defeating Kisame. I know you have two elements to use and are very proficient in Kenjutsu as well, but his sword matches no one so far, so we will strike him with nothing more than ninjutsu, hear me? The blonde never took his eyes away from Kisame as he nodded to his teacher. Surely, using katan techniques in this place is out of the question, since not only it wouldn't do much damage, but also his opponent had the exact opposite, thus elemental advantage. Straight to Futon techniques then. Suton is weak against Doton, Jiraiya. Can't you transform this river into a swamp or something? It would certainly get rid of his advantage, Naruto asked, earning a snort from Jiraiya as he was considering his options. As of right now, using the Uni-Numa technique is risky and chakra expensive. I prefer to use it once we're sure of what we're dealing here. The conversation was cut short as both saw Kisame sliding on top of the water like he was skating, before attacking them both with his same hana. Jiraiya and Naruto scattered each to one side while remaining a good distance away from the damn sword as Naruto started a considerable sequence of hand seals before finishing with the dragon hand seal. Futon K's no Yeba wind release, wind sword jutsu. Kisame could see the distinguishing sound of the technique coming full force at him, but he just placed his sword in the way before it hit full force. The problem, however, was that same hana had its first taste of Naruto's chakra and beginning to increase its giddiness for more of the stuff. Deciding to test Kisame's agility, Naruto took his sword and charged against Kisame with speeds that surprised the Akatsuki member as he positioned his sword to parry Naruto's blow and suck a great chunk of chakra out of him as well, but just as Naruto approached, Kisame felt another surge of chakra being used, before he turned his head slightly to see Jiraiya finishing a sequence of hand seals. Doton Tajer Gansetskin Earth Release, Multiple Rock Spears Jutsu. Instantly and from below the water dozens of rock spears appeared in front of Jiraiya, before he focused on the snake hand seal, before shooting the spears straight at the focused Kisame who for his part, made a single hand seal for the Mizu Bunshin technique as the doppelganger was in charge of breaking the spears, while the real one dealt with the charging Naruto. Nevertheless, as soon as his attention went back to Naruto, he was already in front of Kisame, obliging the shark to dodge the vicious slice, before attempting an attack with same hana close to the blonde's head, being little successful though as Naruto managed to slice the Mizu Bunshin, before landing a powerful kick to Kisame's ribs. The fish was surprised at the strength behind the kick as he was sent flying a couple meters away, leaving him wide open for Jiraiya as he summoned some oil inside his stomach before covering Kisame completely. The swordsman was looking at the man in front of him with a big interrogation mark on his forehead as he wanted to know what the hell did Jiraiya just shot at him. However, his answer was soon given when he sensed chakra once more, this time from Naruto, as he finished the hand seals with the Tiger hand seal. Katan Career Enden Fire Release, Fire Dragon Missile Jutsu. Jiraiya was for his part surprised at the choice for a fire attack by Naruto. He smiled though, seeing as the blonde understood his plan, but Jiraiya was thinking more in terms of a less chakra-demanding technique. Nevertheless, the hot shot of white fire hit Kisame dead on, and while normally it would be less effective against a Suton user, Jiraiya took care of that by covering Kisame's body with oil, increasing the already strong technique's damage. Kisame took the attack, and while his sword absorbed a few of the power, it did a great damage to his body, as his limbs were completely burnt. He cursed these two from keeping the distance, before he dived below the river. Some reassessment on things was due, and the Akatsuki member needed a way to neutralize at least one of the two. It was infuriating how Konoha managed to train its ninjas to perform such coordinated attacks such as these two. By now, Same Hada already managed to heal most of his wounds and the water around him helped in that regard. However, Kisame knew that he needed another advantage beside the water field, and that would be taking at least one of the picture so that he could concentrate on Jiraiya, before capturing the Kyubi Jinchuriki. Concentrating on the element of surprise, he looked up where Naruto standing, before he swam nearby doing a large sequence of hand seals for a strong attack that would render Naruto useless for the fight. And just as the man thought, he appeared like a shark out of water to catch his prey, alerting Naruto instantly. However, the final seal was made and the technique was already in course. Suton de Bafiki no Jutsu Water Release, Water Vortex Jutsu. It took less than 2 seconds as the water around Kisame exploded, forming a whirlwind and attacking the unprepared hunternin as the blonde was hit full force by the technique. Jiraiya tried screaming for his student, but Kisame didn't even let him as he charged with his same hana continuously. Even though Jiraiya managed to dodge all of the sword's attacks, he knew his chakra was being slowly absorbed by the same Hada, meaning he had to do something right now or else. He supposed he should check for Naruto, but while such an attack was fierce, it wouldn't hurt him much, and in no time, the blonde would join the battle once more. Using straight taijutsu, Jiraiya ducked under one attack from Samehada and landed a powerful kick to Kaizame's face, which sent him skidding on top of the water, leaving the man open for a straight attack as Jiraiya focused the Rasengan on the palm of his hand. Kaizame didn't have time to place his sword in the swirling ball's trajectory, and he was hit full force by the damn technique, which seemed to be ripping his skin apart before he was sent flying. Eventually, the sword managed to absorb the power of the Rasengan, but the damage was already done. However, once more and much to Jiraiya's suspicion, the sword passed the gathered chakra and healed Kaizame's wounds. It appears that the sword not only absorbs chakra, but also heals all Kaizame's wounds. So, no matter how much we wound him, that sword will lend its chakra. We have to deliver stronger attacks one after another. It looks like the sword take a couple of seconds to heal Kaizame. Now I have to find Naruto. Jiraiya's musings were cut short as he saw someone approaching fast at Kaizame before he saw the fox cloak tail, and visibly paled. Naruto was using the Kyuubi's power, but while he used only one tail, it appeared that he was now stronger than before. The blonde for his part, ducked just as Samehada was to shred his torso, before landing a strong kick at the shark's jaw, sending him flying on the air. Naruto didn't stop though, as he jumped high before he reached Kaizame before delivering another kick, this time to his abdomen. The Akatsuki member always considered himself resilient to physical attacks, but getting hit by the Bajo's power was something he never experienced before, and his body was aching all over the place as his body was falling towards the river in incredible speed. Jiraiya, for his turn, took the opportunity Naruto gave him and did a sequence of hand seals. Doton Doryuden no Jutsu, Earth Release, Mud Dragon Projectile Jutsu. In front of him, the mud dragon head appeared before opening his mouth and shooting mud projectiles at the still falling Kaizame. The shark noticed it instantly and focused some chakra for a water barrier technique, which managed to prevent some of the projectiles from hitting him, but not all of them, as one managed to hit the man's chest. Naruto landed on the water and saw Kaizame losing his balance, leaving him once more open for an attack. He charged at Kaizame in hopes of delivering a strong punch to his jaw, but the opponent was hoping for the Jinchuriki to be near his sword before he placed Samehada to take the punch for him. And just like he hoped and what Jiraiya feared, the chakra cloak surrounding Naruto was immediately absorbed. Naruto, cursing his stupidity, did some backflips before landing near Jiraiya, but he swore he heard the sword giggling with excitement. It's been a while since I last showed Samehada's appearance behind the bandages, and it appears that she's excited with your chakra, Uzumaki Naruto. After Kaizame unwrapped the bandages surrounding his sword, both Jiraiya and Naruto were shocked to see the sword's real appearance. The sword, even if Naruto found it difficult to call it as such, consisted of spikes and a big mouth emitting a sound peculiar to Uchiha Sasuke's fangirls. Kaizame then charged the two shinobi with the extended Samehada as the two kept evading each blow. However, this time the sword's chakra-absorbing skills increased as the sword was getting bigger each second. Naruto knew he couldn't use the fox's chakra anymore from fear of that sword absorbing it and giving to Kaizame, so he kept dodging the sword while attacking Kaizame with projectiles and exploding tags, but all of it were being deflected by the sword. It was only when Jiraiya took upon himself to lure the Akatsuki member that Naruto had his opportunity. Focusing wind chakra on his sword, Naruto dashed towards Kaizame with the intention of slicing the damn sushi into equal parts. And because of the speed and the fact that Kaizame was preoccupied with Jiraiya, he saw too late as Naruto's wind-charged sword descended towards his chest, intending to slice him in two. The fish managed to evade the technique partially, but because of the wind chakra, a large cut was evident on Kaizame's chest before blood poured all over his body. Seeing that his master needed help ASAP, the sword tried healing him, but chakra alone wasn't going to solve the problem as Kaizame was losing a lot of blood. Suddenly, both the sword and Kaizame started glowing, and much to Jiraiya and Naruto's surprise, the sword and Kaizame merged. The man's appearance, as he got up and wounds were now non-existent, were that of half-man half-shark. That was a great attack there, Uzumaki Naruto. It almost killed me, that's for sure. Itachi said not to underestimate you, and now I can see why. However, there is a reason people call me the non-tailed Bajoa. The stronger my enemy is, the stronger I become with same Hada by my side. I actually wanted to prolong this battle further, but I'm afraid I must cut this short. Kai'Zam started one familiar sequence of hand seals. Suton Bakoshi Shao water release, bursting water collision waves jutsu. Whereas last time he created a river, now the water expanded, creating a water dome that ended up involving both Jiraiya and Naruto in it, which surprised both of them. Fighting on top of water was one thing, but below water was another thing entirely. They didn't have a choice as Kai'Zam charged at him with speeds that only a shark possessed, before delivering solid strikes. Naruto and Jiraiya had the same thought as they swam towards the bottom of the dome in hopes of escaping, but after a while it was Jiraiya who realized that the dome was moving as well, because of the fact that Kai'Zam was chasing after them. Naruto stopped as well as he saw Kai'Zam charging at him with his claws, but Naruto managed to parry it with his sword. However, Kai'Zam attacked once more and managed to leave deep cuts on the blonde's arms, much to his protest, as this damn dome was preventing him from moving right. You better think of something, Naruto. You can't use my chakra because he'll absorb it. You can't use fire techniques because of the water dome. He won't let you gather nature chakra as well. I know, damn it. I guess I have to use that jutsu. So far in Naruto's career there was only one jutsu that even with his chakra, he couldn't perform with satisfaction. Even now, the situation remained the same, but Naruto would have to try or else they would drown in this damn dome, and everything he went through was all for nothing. Okay, Fox, I know my chakra coils will hurt like a bitch tomorrow, but for this technique, I'm going to need your help. Since he'll be absorbing your chakra, all I need is one push of it through my chakra coils in order for me to sustain it longer. Once out of this dome, I'll use nature chakra and deal with this bastard. Naruto could hear the fox laughing inside his mind and praising the blonde for the choice. Indeed, bad situations call for desperate measure. With Kuretsuchi . After leaving the Tsushikage's office, the woman went to look for her target throughout the village. She tried the hotel he was staying, but had no luck as the receptionist told her the blonde and a white-haired man left a couple hours ago and went south by now. She was jumping through the oak trees and many rocks that surrounded the village's training grounds, but so far no luck. Upon nearing the gate, she was informed that they left the village with the condition of returning until nightfall. She decided to leave as well, hoping for spying on his every move and look for an opportunity to take a blood sample from him. As she was traveling towards the destination the Shonin guards pointed to, she was surprised to feel two strong chakra presences nearby. When she arrived, she was surprised to see black flames scorching an entire field and two individuals fighting with every intention of killing one another. Looking closer, she was shocked to see that both of them had the famous Konoha Dojutsu Sharingan, and that one of them was wearing the Akatsuki black robe with red clouds. She saw the Akatsuki's opponent make some hand seals before a great number of fire dragon heads shot at the Akatsuki before rising towards the sky. She managed to see that the technique burned the Akatsuki member's arm severely, but otherwise the man was fine. The sound of thunder called her attention, and she looked up to see some cloud precipitation. However, as much entertaining as this fight was, she had a mission to accomplish, so she traveled further south, not even realizing that the cage bunshin that Naruto left watched the entire ordeal, and became instantly suspicious. He would follow her, but the boss's orders were to see Sasuke's fight and tell him who won, so he remained. With Naruto . His body was aching all over as the damn fish attacked both him and Jiraiya repeatedly. It was getting annoying to say the least. The blonde never encountered a situation where he couldn't do anything about it, and frankly, this wouldn't be the first. Kyubi, now it's time. As Naruto started making hand seals, the fox did as asked and sent the great burst of chakra through the blonde's chakra coils. It hurt like a bitch, but if he didn't do this right now, he would not live to regret it, and once he was out of the dome, Kyubi's chakra could heal the damage made to his chakra coils. Jiraiya for his part was equally pissed off, and he, just like Naruto, knew that he was powerless as Kai'Zam would come time and time again, preventing him from summoning the toads in order to gather nature chakra. Suddenly, He sensed a very strong chakra spike coming from the blonde's direction as Jiraiya noticed the usage of hand seals. Naruto, what are you thinking? You know he'll absorb it like he's doing from the beginning. As the blonde finished the dragon seal, wind began gathering around him like a water current as its speed kept increasing until the fox's sudden chakra burst managed to finalize the technique. And until now Naruto never dared to perform from fear of suffering from chakra exhaustion. The once water current now became a potent whirlpool, and before Kisame even realized the technique's usage, the entire water dome became nothing more than a water hurricane, blasting everything in its path including the surprised Akatsuki member, as he was thrown from the hurricane with such force towards a large array of trees, through 5 of them, before he fell on the ground, nearly dead. Jiraiya was dumbstruck by the strength behind the technique, as he also was thrown off the water dome. However, despite flying in equal speed to Kisame's, the man used his Doton affinity to the max and transformed his landing strip into a big swamp, thus cushioning the blow. Fuden Shippu no Heishi, Wind Release, Furious Hurricane Jutsu. Back to Kisame, the sword was separated from his body, since it didn't have more chakra to save its wielder. He though was barely alive as his body was entirely beaten from the damned Jinchuriki's technique. Revealing his true form was, until now, 100% sure of his winning against both the Jinchuriki and the Sannin, and even his chakra-absorbing skills prevented them from using chakra-oriented attacks that would disrupt the water dome, but the chakra unleashed by Naruto was unreal and he just couldn't absorb it entirely, until the hurricane was formed and attacked him with all its might. He could feel his limit was upon him and nothing would prevent him from being killed. As he opened his eyes he saw the blonde kneeling on the ground as he suddenly coughed some blood, thus making Kisame grin. It must have been a toll on his chakra coils to use so much chakra all in once, and the blonde was feeling it full force now. Suddenly, he heard steps to his right, and saw the Sannin with a kunai on his hand. Right now, despite everything that happened, Jiraiya had to stop and wonder the irony of this situation. The entire fight involved high-ranked jutsu with enough power to level a portion of Konoha, and yet, all it takes right now is a simple kunai to slice Kisame's throat. By the time Naruto already appeared next to him with his sword on his hand. Rather his flame sword, as his chakra coils were already fixed by the Kyubi. Leave it to me, Jiraiya. I'm the hunter-nin here, not you. The Sannin leveled his eyes on Naruto for a moment, trying to understand why the blonde was mentioning this now of all times, as they were seconds away of ridding the elemental nations of Kirigakure's most dangerous criminal. Nevertheless, he did step aside as Naruto delivered the sword attack on Kisame's neck, making a clean cut like hot knife through butter. The blonde quickly used the sealing scroll and sealed the man's head off together with same hata as proof of the kill. However, he left the body unscathed, which earned a questioned look from Jiraiya. Why don't you finish your job, Naruto? Jiraiya asked. The blonde placed the sealing scroll inside the kunai holster as well as his sword inside the respective holster before turning to meet his sensei. His body is not Konoha's responsibility. If you want to prevent someone from experimenting with his body, then by all means go right ahead. I have to go see Sasuke's fight. What the? Jiraiya and Naruto were startled by the sudden black fire that appeared near them and scorched Kisame's body like it was nothing. Both of them immediately left the clear and charged towards Sasuke and Itachi's location. However, both of them failed to realize a woman appearing at the clearing as her concealing Iwa technique vanished. She managed to conceal her presence just in time and managed to escape from the two's grasp as she inspected the fighting scene. When she was walking, though, she found some blood splattered on the floor. As she remembered, the blonde target was kneeling on the ground, before she extracted a vial from her kunai holster and collected the blood. It appears my mission ends sooner than I expected. The old man will flip at this. Still, the man these two killed was Hoshigaki Kisame's ranked missing nin and member of the 7 Swordsmen of the Mist. This development must be reported immediately. Sasuke x Itachi . When Naruto and Jiraiya arrived at the fighting scene, they were bewildered to see a panting Sasuke being cornered by Itachi as he was strangely glowing red. His appearance was worse for wear as well as Sasuke, and even his walking was being hampered by the many bruises on his body. Naruto saw the cage bunching and immediately dispelled it only to receive image footing of the entire fight. As Itachi closed in on Sasuke, no one of the spectators dared approach the two Uchiha brothers, but everyone knew the end of the fight was imminent. Sasuke was stripped from his chakra entirely, and Itachi's disease managed its final strike, only allowing Itachi to walk like this from his will alone. As Itachi stopped in front of Sasuke, he started to stretch his hands towards Sasuke's eyes, presumably to yank it and fuse it with his Sharingan eyes. However, what shocked Sasuke the most was when Itachi instead just gave a light tap on his brother's forehead with two fingers with a smile on his face, as this happened to be the moment he always carved for since the Uchiha massacre. He hoped that it was Sasuke who came and killed him and get rid of the curse that befalls the older Uchiha. Before Sasuke could even realize what happened, Itachi was already on the ground as he succumbed to his disease and died. Between thunders and a heavy rain, there isn't much one could see, but Sasuke's smile at finally revenging his clan was like a picture frame in the middle of the clearing. It didn't take long before Sasuke passed out as well and joined his brother on the warm grass floor, as Sasuke's team started moving to save their leader. However, within seconds, a sudden tornado appeared between the two Ukkas, and with speed unmatched, sealed them into a scroll for preservation before vanishing just like he appeared. The heavy team were shocked beyond measure that the blonde would do something like this, but even Karin couldn't know where he was, which only meant that he was already far away, and he managed to capture Sasuke and Itachi's corpse. A few miles away from the scene, Jiraiya waited as Naruto appeared with the medium-sized scroll on his possession, before making the hand signs for the Kuchiyos no Jutsu. Gamakichi appeared instantly and saluted both Naruto and Jiraiya, before Naruto gave the scroll to Gamakichi in order to be handed to Tsunade. Gamakichi, this scroll it to be guarded with utmost importance. If someone tried to stop you from delivering to the Hokage, please return to your dimension and deliver to her then. In case the old hag asks, inside the scroll are the report I quickly wrote about what transpired here. Tell her to just open it and see for herself. Got it, Naruto? In case she has a reply, I'll return. If not, then, good luck on the exams. Naruto nodded before the toad vanished. Jiraiya for his part could see the smile threatening to appear on his student's face, and couldn't help but smile as well in appraisal for the blonde's quick thinking. Actually, the man was more relieved than anything from what Naruto told him the other day. He wouldn't waste time in killing Sasuke after his fated battle against Itachi, but instead, he just captured the man alive and sent to Konoha, receiving a lot of points in Jiraiya's opinion regarding a supposed necessity to kill more and more non-stop. Okay, Naruto, we have to go back to the village and register your name for the Shonen exams. Huh, you do well to laugh at the irony of this situation. Hoshigaki Kaizame's S-ranked missing nin, member of the Seven Swordsmen of the Mist, was defeated by a mere genin. How priceless. It wasn't funny in Naruto's opinion, that's for sure. This situation right here is what he kept telling to both Jiraiya and Tsunade, that ranks mean little, and the heads he sent back to the village were proof of that. So why the need to have either a Shonen or Jounin rank at all? Oh well, in Naruto's mind, he should call it a win. After all, not only he managed to kill an S-ranked missing nin from Kirigakure, but he also managed to capture Uchiha Sasuke and send him to Konoha for questioning, thus ridding this world from the Sharingan menace. Well, he guessed a couple warm-up fights and it wouldn't be too bad, and after that, he could go home and start his hunter-nin mission all over again. You sure think of this as amusing, huh? But what's more amusing is the fact that a mere genin, as you said, managed to do more than a sannin in the battle. Now that's amusing. Kyuubi's laughter echoed inside his mind as he saw Jiraiya scowling at him for the rude comment. Okay. Let's just go and sign my name, Naruto said, dismissing the issue. And Konoha . More specifically, in Danzo's house, bodies of his dead Anbu were sprawled on the floor, while each of them was slowly being eaten by the plant-like shinobi. With his ability to sink to the ground and appear behind the enemy, it didn't take long for Zetsu to get rid of everyone, including the old war hawk. However, despite his Anbu's performance, the old man still had some tricks up his sleeve if the Sharingan on his apparently closed eye was any indication. In the end, though, Zetsu managed to deliver an intoxicating poison to his system that killed the man in seconds. Suddenly, a man wearing the same Akatsuki robes, but with the orange mask, appeared as he looked at the scene in front of him. He never enjoyed Setsu's taste of cannibalism, but it sure came in hand when the organization needed to dispose of the bodies. However, that was not why he came, and rather some strange feeling about one of his subordinates, Uchiha Itachi. Setsu, congrats on the killing. Now I sense that something happened with Itachi. Although I can't pinpoint his location, try finding him and report for me what happened. The plant-like man responded by sinking on the ground once more and leaving the vicinity along with the other man that instead used a jutsu of time and space and vanished as well. At Tsunade's office. Oblivious to what transpired at Danzo's house, Tsunade was having a good day. There wasn't much paperwork to be done, and contrary to most days, Shizune wasn't being a bitch about her responsibilities as Hokage. The woman was startled, though, when Gamakichi appeared in her office, because if this happened, then Naruto must be out there hunting again, when he should be in Iwa participating at the Shonin exams. Okay, Gamakichi? What happened? Naruto is suspended from his hunter-nin status. Is it another one of his kills? Tsunade asked, not at all surprised at the boy's professionalism. Naruto said that he wrote you a report of what happened in this scroll here, Tsunade-sama. If it's answers you seek, then by all means, read the scroll. Snorting at the toad in front of her, she opened the scroll and read for a while. The first paragraph was Naruto's way of saying that he didn't cross any boundaries of her suspension order. However, the rest of the test stopped her ability to breathe. It can't be true. How? It's impossible. What's this gaki made of, exactly? Those were Tsunade's thoughts about Naruto's ability to capture missing nins as she looked at the kanji below the test that, according to Naruto, it contained the Uchiha brothers' corpses while Itachi was killed by Sasuke, and Sasuke was right now unconscious due to chakra exhaustion after the battle. A sudden scream for a whole team of Anbu, as well as Shizune, to show up, before everyone appeared as they saw the two Uchiha lying on the ground. Shizune prepared Itachi's body for analysis. Tori, the Anbu captain, take Sasuke for Ibiki and look him in a high-security chamber afterwards. For now, his presence is to remain in A-rank secret. I don't want anyone below Jounin to know about this. After the orders were delivered and everyone vanished, Tsunade was caught rubbing her temples as she processed an annoying blonde. Surely, she knew he was doing good as a hunter-nin, but not that good. If this wasn't enough, the letter still said that he, along with Jiraiya, managed to eliminate Hoshigaki Kaizen as well, and Naruto kept his head and sword to be further used as bounty in Kirigakure. Changing the subject, Tsunade called Shizune and asked to call all of Naruto and Sasuke's peers at the academy in order to relay what happened. Since all of them were Jounin, they would have access to the information anyway, even though she would have to take the part of Naruto being a hunter-nin at least until he returns from Uegakure and tell everyone himself. Damn it, Naruto, just when I was appreciating the lack of paperwork for a change, you go and do this. Chapter 17 Identity Revealed. It was a clouded day as the rain was doing everything it could to wipe away the scene of destruction caused by Sasuke and Itachi's fight. The trees were all but wiped out and the entire clearing was surrounded by black fire, courtesy of one Uchiha Itachi. It easily resembled a full-scale war, had it not been for the fact that no bodies were sprawled on the ground. Anyone who witnessed this could only imagine how fierce the opponents were if they were able to cause this much destruction. This was the scene that Setsu saw upon materializing from the ground. He managed to track Itachi's chakra to this location, but as he looked around, neither Itachi nor Sasuke could be seen. Immediately, Setsu concluded the worst. He knew Sasuke grew strong under Orochimaru's guidance. What was even stranger, though, was that Setsu could also feel the snake scent in the vicinity, further keeping him from knowing the truth of what exactly transpired here. The worst news, right now, was that with Itachi's body gone, so was the ring that enabled the demon sealing. Certainly, Madara wouldn't be happy with the ordeal, as the man had his expectations in regards to this fight. He foresaw Itachi's defeat to Sasuke, as this happened to be what Itachi wanted in the first place. Then Madara would convince Sasuke to join Akatsuki's cause by revealing the hidden truth behind the Uchiha massacre. Now, not only did Akatsuki not possess one of the rings, but also the group was now one member short. Remembering about Itachi's partner, Setsu vanished below ground once more and managed to track the shark shinobi sent close to his position. When he materialized close to the place where Naruto and Jiraiya fought against Kisame, Zetsu frowned once more as the shark's body was nowhere to be found, just like Itachi. All he saw was more dark fire, and he reasoned that the hellish creation had somehow managed to spread through the entire forest. Plus, he could feel the Kyuubi Jinchuriki's chakra as well as the Sannin Jiraiya, which meant the two had fought, and perhaps managed to defeat the former member of the Seven Swordsmen. Certainly, this meant even more terrible news to Akatsuki, as not only was the organization 2 members short, but also their respective rings were forever lost. And Konoha . When Tsunade woke up this morning, she thought it would be a good day. Yesterday, her favorite hunter Nin managed to capture not only Uchiha Sasuke, but also Uchiha Itachi's dead corpse. Therefore, Konoha was as of now rid of the majority of its enemies, all courtesy of both Naruto and Jiraiya. The woman was just waiting for Sasuke to wake up, then she could have some time alone with him and teach him some manners of loyalty. As she arrived in her office, though, she noticed the sullen look on everyone's faces and started to worry. She knew something bad happened because of her apprentice's face. It got worse once the stationed Anu requested her presence in a crime scene that occurred sometime yesterday. When she asked what happened, the Anu chose not to relay the news right away, so he instead stated that Tsunade should see for herself. When she arrived at the scene, she was surprised to see that they were in Danzo's cottage. Something terribly wrong happened. She could feel it, as the strong smell of blood was an indication. Upon entering the room, the Hokage had the decency to flinch in exasperation. Dozens of bodies lay dead on the ground, all covered by blood, in one of the most horrible death scenes ever witnessed inside a closed space. She could very well see Anu masks not allowing their identities to be revealed, but Tsunade wasn't aware of any Anu agent either dead or missing in action, which meant that they are all part of Danzo's secret root Anu program. "Where is Danzo, Tory Bird?" Tsunade asked, wanting to ask some questions as to the existence of his root program. "He's right there, Tsunade-sama. In the middle," said the Anbu, startling the woman at the implication that the old war hawk met his end at the hands of whoever did this. As she passed between the bodies, she could see his body splattered with blood as well. She was now wondering who had the power to do something like this. The perpetrator not only managed to invade the village undetected, but also took care of Danzo's entire route Anbu and the very man himself. "Turi, call 3 medical teams here. I want all the bodies analyzed right away, including Danzo's." It goes without saying that the man ran everything hidden from both mine and the Sandime's eyes. Who knows what we will find once we analyze the bodies. Also, tell the medic teams to present me with a report of who attacked this team. I want to know who managed to pass our hidden sensors. Last, no one is to know about what happened here. Right away, Tsunade-sama saluted Turi as he vanished, leaving the Hokage alone for a while as she processed the implications of this event. Surely, Danzo wasn't any ally of hers, far from it actually. But the man had some secrets under his sleeve that she wanted to know about, and now that he was dead, he ended up taking everything to his grave. Tsunade was already imagining the huge amount of paperwork as a result of this mess. Unaware of the events that occurred in Konoha, both Jiraiya and Naruto were walking calmly towards the Chunin exams. After the fight yesterday, both felt like taking some much-deserved sleep, considering that passing through these goddamn exams was Naruto's priority at the moment. Granted, he managed an impressive feat yesterday as he not only captured Uchiha Sasuke, A-ranked missing nin, but he also managed to kill S-ranked missing nin Hoshigaki Kisame. Surely, the man's bounty was enough to buy considerable land of Konoha just for him, even though money wasn't an issue to the blonde. However, beneath all this, Naruto wanted nothing more than to carry out his duty as a hunter nin and dispose of all of Konoha's enemies. Jiraiya, for his part, was watching Naruto while scrutinizing him from head to toe. Everything from Kisame's fight and the Uchiha brothers' capture seemed surreal to the perverted Sannin. If he heard someone telling him what happened, he would doubt it, plain and simple. It just wasn't possible that one man had managed to both capture and kill high-ranked missing nins like the blonde did so easily. Granted, Naruto didn't beat Kisame alone, but still the Sannin had now little doubts of the hunter nin skills. As they walked, a few genin appeared from all over the hidden nations as they were also heading towards the place of the exams. Each one Naruto saw, he was cursing both Tsunade and Jiraiya simply because none of them looked threatening enough to warrant him any challenge. However, the blonde wasn't a stranger to the needed bureaucracy in order to be promoted, so he could very well get it over with as fast as possible and return out there to his hunt. A few minutes later, the Konoha ninja stopped in front of a huge battle stadium that was at least twice the size of Konoha's. The stadium was built with only granite rock and perfectly symmetric windows. How they managed to slice the rocks, though Naruto would never know, but he wasn't exactly interested in knowing about it. Once inside, they were surprised to see the huge number of genin waiting for the exams to start. What was even more surprising was that out of clearly 200 genin, Naruto could count only 5 or 10 that weren't from Itachi territory, including himself. Jiraiya was suspicious instantly. Never in the history of the Chunin exams had the hosting village sent so many of its own. Surely, the Tsushikage was up to something, and Jiraiya could feel a terrible omen lingering in the air. Yesterday at the Tsushikage's office. Minutes after Kuretsuchi collected Naruto's blood, she went straight to her cage's office as she delivered the sample to the old wrinkled individual. He was surprised that the girl already managed to complete the mission, but the man didn't waste 1 second before calling the head scientist in order to run a blood test and compare it with the Yondaime Hokage's blood. To his smirk, the match was positive, and now Ua could have its revenge on Namikaze Minato for what he did. Kuretsuchi, though, brought interesting facts regarding how she was able to extract the blood sample. Apparently, Minato's son managed to dispose of S-ranked missing nin Hoshigaki Kisame together with the Sannin Jiraiya. It would make sense that the Yondaime's son would be skilled enough to deal with Kisame, but seeing that the X7 swordsman belonged to the Akatsuki, certainly he wouldn't face the blonde if he wasn't a target, meaning the blonde was a Jinchuriki as well. It was potentially troubling, the man reasoned. Facing a Jinchuriki in battle was probably the same as facing another cage, perhaps even worse, as the destruction would be immense. For now, the Tsushikage chose to play it slow. He would observe the blonde's techniques thoroughly before making a decision. Surely, he just couldn't send a number of his finest jounin just to see a repetition of the Third Great Ninja War. Another factor of his plan was the Sannin Jiraiya. Certainly, once Ua attacked a ninja of Konoha, the man will have an opening to retaliate. This would need heavy planning, he reasoned. Present time. Right now, Naruto and Jiraiya were talking about the exams as Jiraiya instructed the blonde not to show more skills than a Chunin was able to, so that meant a few elemental techniques and heavy usage of taijutsu. The sword could be used, but under no circumstances could he aim at vital spots. The blonde was okay with the rules. After all, if he was able to face an S-ranked missing nins, certainly a couple hundred genin wouldn't be much of an issue. The problem was the vast number of them, in his opinion. Suddenly, a total of 10 jounin materialized from the ground with their arms crossed as they faced the huge number of genin inside the stadium. The one in the middle took one step forward and took a while to address the genin. His appearance called the attention of everyone present as his entire body was entirely covered in wrapping. The only skin visible was dark, and to those closer, they could very well see that it was carbonized. Covering the wraps was a blue kimono with the symbol of Iwa on his dark blue belt. Welcome everyone to the Chunin exams. The hidden village of Iwa takes great pride in the fighters that we create. As such, it's fair that this test should simulate all but fighting conditions. This stadium is one of the 3 that is located throughout the village, as its size is perfect to test your skills and assess whether or not any of you deserves to be promoted to Chunin. My name is Makoto Shisho, and I will be your proctor together with the team before me. The exams will compose of 5 parts, and all of them will involve fighting. As Shisho explained the exams, the huge board behind him sprang to life, showing 5 different arenas. As you can see, you'll be fighting in different arenas. Each of them simulates battle stations from all over the world. We have a rocky terrain, a large pool of water, an icy field found near water and snow country, an arena filled with forests found in fire country, and a desert arena found near wind country. Each of these fields has its difficulties to be dealt with, tempering your focus on the enemy. Here in Iwa, Chunin is a born warrior, as such it will be expected of you is to survive throughout the battles. The rules are simple, anything goes, especially killing. Death is our profession, and as such a Chunin cannot fear death. Plus, the arena will be suspended in midair, so if one of you ends up falling from the arena, you'll be disqualified. As the Jounin explained, Naruto and Jiraiya were looking at each other. These exams were beginning to get interesting in Naruto's opinion, and certainly Jiraiya could see the blonde's enthusiasm. The perverted Sannin was okay with everything, as long as the blonde didn't follow the rules and kill everyone. Okay Naruto, try either throwing the opponent out of the ring or knock them unconsciousness. But no killing, you hear me? Naruto nodded, but Jiraiya continued explaining about the seriousness of the situation. You must remember the past, Naruto. Ill are scum, and they tend to resort to dirty tactics in order to get what they want. I wouldn't put it past them if someone blamed you for overkill and demand retribution. You understand the situation? Don't worry about it. It's not in my plans to show off. I have another identity to keep, you know. I don't want people to point and shout my reputation name to everyone. Naruto said, as he was paying attention to the board with the different types of field. It didn't take much before the image changed and Naruto was getting pumped. The Illa Jounin Shisho turned to explain the exams. As you all can see, we managed to settle the fights accordingly to each field. All of you will be divided in 5 groups as displayed on the board. Each group will be settled in one specific terrain. The second phase will consist of different fields, and depending on the number that advances to the next stage, we'll settle a group from 3 to 6 genin that will fight amongst each other. The remaining genin will then reach the third and last phase, which consists of a tournament, like shown on the board. Upon the end of the second phase, the 20 will take a number from the box next to me. These numbers will determine your position. Now, the board was showing the group's designation as Shisho concluded. Now, let's proceed with the first phase. All of you check the terrains you've been assigned to and get moving, shouted Shisho as the ground started to shake. Naruto and Jiraiya could very well see different terrains being formed throughout the stadium arena. To their right was the icy terrain, and to the left was the rocky one. In front of them was the lake terrain as well as the fire country simulation terrain. To their back was the desert arena as a sudden blast of sand engulfed the artificial mountains, confusing Naruto a bit. Only one ninja managed to manipulate sand, and Naruto knew it to be his friend Gaara. By this time the Jounin left the arena and filled the audience together with high officials and the rest, composed by Chunin and civilians. A sudden sound alerted the genin before they all looked at a tower that grew from the ground with 2 nice mahogany chairs which presumably belonged to the Tsushikage and his guest. When the tower stopped growing, 4 individuals emerged out of nowhere. The Tsushikage was easily recognizable as he happens to be an old midget, and the huge Jounin behind him was easily comparable to the biggest Akimishis in Naruto's opinion. To the cage's right, Naruto could see his friend Gaara taking a seat with his sister Temurai by his side as bodyguard. The fact that Gaara accepted an invitation from Konoha's enemy was most troubling to Naruto, considering that Suna is allied with the hidden village in the leaves. However, that was a problem reserved for Tsunade to deal with, not him. Looking at the gigantic board, Naruto could see his terrain group. It was the rocky terrain where earth-based techniques had the advantage. It didn't take long for Naruto to consider the word sabotage. Granted, the number of Iwa genin were unheard of, but Naruto thought that at least one from another village would be in his group. Up on the stands, Jiraiya was looking at this as well in great suspicion. He knew that Tsushikage to be a very wise individual and equally cunning. The bad feeling was increasing, Jiraiya thought. It was wise of him to come here with Naruto, as he was feeling that the two were about to enter inside an enemy territory with minor chance of escape. Maybe it's wise to consider a backup plan in case something happens. Who knows what Iwa has been doing in terms to their revenge on Minato. Back to the arena, Naruto was already positioned on top of the rocky terrain as the rest of the genin were located. He also saw what appeared to be a rather bulky Jounin as his eyes were focused entirely on the blonde. He had a deep scar cross his jugular, which meant that this man must have crossed the gates of hell and come back. At Konoha . Upon opening his eyes, Uchiha Sasuke frowned in dismay. He remembered fighting his brother to the death in an opening clearing in Earth Country beneath a heavy rain, and now, he was inside a dark room. It was so dark that he didn't know if he was dreaming or not. He didn't know if he was even alive for that matter, as he knew people could die from chakra exhaustion. Suddenly, a huge light invaded the room consumed by darkness, and Sasuke had to protect his eyes for a while. Looking around, Sasuke realized he was inside a prison cell and the walls were filled with seals as they were now glowing. Suddenly, a deep voice emerged from an intercom located on the ceiling. "I see you've awakened Uchiha Sasuke. Let me be the first to welcome you to Hidden Village in the Leaves." The sudden voice surprised Sasuke a lot. He was in Konoha. But how? What happened after he defeated Itachi? All these questions were running in his mind a mile a second, before he voiced them to the no one. "Who the hell are you? How did I get here? Answer me, damn it!" The Uka's voice echoed inside through the empty hallways, as this prison happened to be reserved for the worst of criminals. "You're under the impression that a criminal has the right to demand answers. A-ranked missing nin Sasuke Uchiha, guilty of betraying the Leaf and joining Konoha's strongest enemy Orochimaru. By this fact alone, you'd be dead in my opinion. Now, you are located inside a high-security facility within Konoha, a place reserved for A-ranked criminals and above. The possibility of escape is literally impossible, as the seals located on the walls are chakra suppressors. Also, since you possess the curse seal, further measures were issued to prevent any outside interference. Now, you'll be interrogated by both me and the Godame Hokage." Afterwards, the intercom link shut down and utter silence remained. But Sasuke's mind was in turmoil as he tried to gather yesterday's events. Granted, he was a missing nin now and any hunter nin could have captured him while he was unconscious, but what about his team? Certainly, they would have taken him to a safe place while he rested. Suddenly, realization hit him like a ton of bricks as he remembered the only person who would bother bringing him back to Konoha. The dope. Both that San Andrea and Naruto ended up engaging Itachi's partner Kisame, and during Sasuke's fight with Itachi, not once did he see Naruto approaching to capture him. But once more, wouldn't his team prevent Naruto from doing so? Sasuke wouldn't imagine them to be this incompetent as to let his body be left open to be captured, but seeing the circumstances, he was considering their uselessness. Nevertheless, one thing Sasuke knew, and this fact alone made him smile. Itachi is dead. The man who murdered our entire family and ruined my life is dead and by my hands. Sasuke accomplished his ultimate goal. There wasn't much going on for him except maybe the revival of his clan, but that required a female party and certainly, he couldn't think of anyone who fit the criteria. As this lane of thought was going on, both Tsunade and Ibiki entered the chamber, alerting Sasuke's attention. Certainly Sasuke recognized the Hokage as she happened to be the one who healed him a long time ago. Plus Orochimaru had gathered an extensive material regarding this woman's life, containing both her skills as her weaknesses. Not that Sasuke bothered to read it, but he knew it existed. The man with the bandana wasn't a total stranger to Sasuke, as they were properly introduced when he was but a kid inside the old Uchiha compound. Also, he recognized him from his first and last Chunin exams. "Sasuke Uchiha," Tsunade called, as she crossed her arms beneath her incredibly large breasts, while displaying a serious look on her face. "Seeing as you betrayed this village on your own free will, you won't be submitted into trial. Therefore, you are hereby considered guilty and will receive a penalty dignified by the level of offensive you committed. Right now, Tsunade, there is nothing going on for me. My clan was avenged, that was my true purpose." Sasuke was rather calm in Hokage's opinion, and she was well versed in human psychology to determine that he was indeed speaking the truth. Turning her eyes slightly, she looked at her partner in interrogation, and noticed that Ibiki was looking at Sasuke with focus, as in he was trying to see some level of negative emotions coming from a criminal. Nevertheless, she knew what she had to do with him. Sasuke, I won't even bother knowing whether or not your actions were justified. You committed a heavy sin to Konoha and therefore, must be punished. Nevertheless, the penalty itself won't be decided by me. Worse than betraying the village, you betrayed those who believed in you and worshipped you as part of a special group. Therefore, it's only fair that they decide on a suitable punishment. Sasuke suddenly took his eyes from the ground and focused on the blonde woman's smirk for a while. Surely, he knew about this group she was mentioning, but the truth is that was the only thing he dreaded at this point. He didn't have a problem with the majority of them. Shino, Shikamaru, Neji Chouji, Kiba Hinata, Tenten, even the green spandex wearing freak called Lee. But Sakura and Ino were two of the lot that really infuriated him to no end. Granted, those two must have grown and probably weren't as infatuated with him as before. Tsunade smiled upon seeing the reaction coming from Sasuke. Certainly, he didn't see it coming. She figured that the Konoha 11 minus Naruto of course would be able to consider a suitable punishment to Sasuke that the village would agree on, seeing as the majority of them belonged to the major clans within the village, and their view would be backed up by the clan heads. With Naruto . As the fights initiated, the blonde remained near the jounin responsible for the rocky terrain as he studied the genin's pathetic movements and form. Jutsus were performed with a lack of control, and the hand seal's speed weren't that impressive. From his view, Iwa had done nothing to focus on their shinobi's weak points. They were focusing only on teaching them jutsu after jutsu without even worrying that the majority of these genin were in need of assistance and fast. The fights were scheduled so that each genin could fight at least twice, thus showing their Chunin level skills to the judges. But in order for one to pass to the second stage, each genin had to win both times. As Naruto took his position on the left side of the arena, a rather bulky individual appeared on the other side with a smug look on his face, seemingly sure of his victory. When the judge allowed the fight to begin, Naruto's opponent charged at the blonde with a direct hit on the face, but Naruto just focused on defending the blow with his arm, before he moved his defending arm to the left in order to stop a high kick. The fight remained like this for a while. The bulky genin tried all the strikes he could muster on Naruto, but none of them were effective as Naruto defended them all. Naruto could feel that he was focusing chakra to the strikes, but while it was a valuable effort, the hunter fox just focused on pure wind manipulation to diminish the blow's impulse. Suddenly, he grew impatient with this and vanished in thin air, just as his opponent was to deliver a front kick to his chest. Naruto appeared behind the man and landed a powerful punch on his face, which sent him towards the ground with a heavy thud. The opponent, whose name was Ishimari, got up while being cheered up by a girl and a boy, presumably from the same genin team. Focusing chakra on his feet, Ishimaru charged once more, earning a sigh from the blonde as he focused on 3 simple hand seals. Fuden Rapushao Wind Release, Gale Wind Palm Jutsu. Ishimaru didn't know what hit him, but the jounin could very well see the flow of wind chakra as it sent the bulky genin flying towards an incoming rock, before he hit his head, falling to unconsciousness immediately. Naruto just remained there with hands inside his pocket as he stepped out of the rocky terrain, while the medic nins approached to heal Ishimaru. These fights were a waste of his time, in his opinion. He could very well be facing tough opponents out there, but instead he was facing weak genin. Meanwhile, Hyobi was finding the situation amusing as he constantly let out a chuckle every time he heard Naruto complaining inside his mind. You know that the more you complain, the more you make me happy, right Naruto? I'm betting with myself over how long it will take for you to blast this entire stadium from boredom. I'll take that bet, and I assure you that it won't take long. Still, I'm more interested in understanding why Iwa is sending such a high amount of weak genin to the Chunin exams. It's my knowledge that the village's best interest is to show their best genin so that clients hire them. At least, this was and has always been Konoha's way of thinking. The fact that Naruto could converse with someone was a blessing, even if said person happened to be the damn furball. He noticed one genin standing out on the crowd as he managed to perform a medium-level Doton jutsu flawlessly. Maybe Iwa has some talent after all. Up in the cage's stand, Gaara was focusing his attention on both Naruto's group and the icy terrain group as 3 Suna genin happens to be competing as well. He chuckled once he saw how easy Naruto dealt with his opponent and imagined how bored the blonde must have been right now. The Kasage knew why Naruto had to take a Chunin exam, and even though he wouldn't agree to it, it was certainly enjoyable to see him fight. Temurai was thinking the same thing, though she was looking at Naruto's wardrobe while searching through her memories as to whom that leather outfit belonged to. The Tsuchikage's attention was also on the Yondaime Hokage's legacy. He could plainly see how easily he dealt with Ishimaru, and even the ease in which he performed that wind jutsu. Surely, he didn't belong to this place, but since he was here, the old man wasn't complaining at all. In fact, he was smiling from the inside. Iwa's morale after the last shinobi war suffered quite the blow because of Namikaze Minato, and even though the village flourished once more, it left a scar. Now, as the blonde progressed through the Chunin exams, he would realize that his opponents wouldn't be as easy as they should be. Just you wait, son of the Yondaime. Soon, you'll suffer just like Iwa has because of your father. Turning his neck slightly to address his former bodyguard as some preparations were in order for his plan of testing Naruto. Gaara, for his part, saw the swift motion and frowned in suspicion. The Kasage was smart, and he knew how to read people's subtle body languages. The ex-Jinchuriki considered not accepting the invitation of coming to the Chunin exams, seeing as his village was allied with Konoha, but seeing as Tsunade wasn't against it, he accepted. The Tsuchikage was a crafty individual, and the man was smiling the entire time as he looked at Naruto's fight from afar. Gaara's danger sense was tingling somewhat, and he started observing the man from the corner of his eyes. Back to Naruto, his second fight was up, and his opponent was rather short in his opinion. He had black hair that would rest on his shoulders, raven eyes, and a white kimono for an outfit. Upon the given authorization, Naruto's opponent, called Masaburo, just vanished in thin air, surprising the blonde. He felt the source of chakra coming from his right side and dodged just in time to evade a strong kick from the little genin. He didn't take too long and vanished once more before appearing behind Naruto with a punch to his neck, but as soon as the attack landed, Naruto was replaced with a boulder. The little genin was surprised with the fast Kawarami, but he wasn't fast enough to dodge as Naruto came flying with a roundhouse kick from Masaburo's blind side, sending him flying towards the set of boulders. As Naruto observed the opponent's flight, he sensed an immense usage of chakra being expelled from Masaburo's body. Suddenly, the boy started spinning until he managed to connect both his feet on the mountain, before pumping as much chakra as possible to increase the speed of his flight towards Naruto. As his feet let go of the rock contact, the kid increased his speed tenfold as he charged headstrong against the genin and hunternin. Naruto, by this time, was making hand seals as the distance shortened. By the time Masaburo reached Naruto's position, the blonde finished the last hand seal. Fuden de Tapa wind release, great breakthrough jutsu. The sudden gust of wind surprised Masaburo as his body was propelled once more to the rocky region. But this time his chakra ability couldn't help him, as Naruto's wind-propelled chakra was preventing him from even moving until he hit his head, falling unconscious. Naruto was getting suspicious of his victory because he felt the usage of Doton chakra just before Masaburo hit the wall, and he didn't want to lower his guard until the proctor declared the winner. Suddenly, the body of Masaburo turned to mud, and quite to Naruto's smirk, Masaburo materialized from behind him. "You're different than the others, kid. I can see you have brains instead of just muscle. Now, though, it's time for this fight to end." Masaburo didn't wait for Naruto to finish before he charged against Naruto, throwing kunai at Naruto as he continued to charge. He hoped that Naruto would dodge the incoming projectiles, but instead he just grabbed two kunai from his holster and blocked them all, before charging against Masaburo with a kick. The genin managed to dodge using his skills with chakra before he flipped his body and aimed a punch on Naruto's face. The blonde caught it with his hand and twisted Masaburo's body, throwing him on the ground. Once more, Masaburo transformed into mud before appearing from a distance as he began a series of hand seals. Doton Doriyuter, Earth Release, Mud Cannon Jutsu. Suddenly, Masaburo gathered mud inside his lungs before expelling a fast stream of mud towards Naruto. However, before the attack hit, the blonde already managed to dodge as he then charged at Masaburo while doing hand seals of his own, before gathering as much air as he could for consecutive shots. Fuden K's Dangan, Wind Release, Wind Bullet Jutsu. Masaburo was dazzled at the speed of a wind technique, but as the shots reached his limbs he knew it was going to be painful. One who hit his stomach was enough force to propel his body, sending him flying towards the artificial mountain right behind him. Just as he was about to hit the mountain, his body transformed to mud once more, just like Naruto predicted before Masaburo materialized behind the blonde, panting as he'd used almost all his chakra. Smiling, Naruto turned and stared at Masaburo. The kid was at his limit, and he more than anyone knew when he was beat. I know you're way stronger than me, and I'm not a fool as to believe anything I do will work on you. Proctor, I give up, Masaburo said before the proctor declared Naruto the winner, quite to the blonde's growing interest in the boy. As the two got out of the terrain, Masaburo returned to his teammates who congratulated him for the fight, before Naruto appeared, surprising the boys' team a bit. As they looked at Naruto, they were wondering why he was even here, seeing as he didn't even try very hard, and one of Uwa's best genin couldn't even touch the guy. Masaburo-san, that was a good fight. I can see you'll do well in the future. I'd promote you to Chunin right now. Knowing when to back off, it's what will save you out there sometimes. As Naruto complimented the genin, he turned and placed both hands inside his pockets before walking towards the proctor, as he got the last fight of this terrain. Masaburo, for his part, watched Naruto from afar and smiled at his back. One thing about the Tsushikage was that in order to receive Uwa's major clan support, he always shared sensitive information with them, and the blonde in question happened to be one of sensitive information. Uzumaki Naruto, son of the Yondaime Hokage Namikaze Minato and killer of many Uwa ninjas, including almost half of his clan. However, while his family loathed the Yondaime Hokage for what he did against their clan, Masaburo didn't. He knew the ugly truth of the ninja world and acknowledged the Yondaime Hokage's strength for not only defeating single-handedly the biggest hidden village of all the elemental nations, but also saving Konoha from the strongest Bajal ever to grace the elemental nations, the nine-tailed fox. Now, the man's son was here competing at the Chunin exams, and he had the privilege of fighting against such a fierce shinobi. Certainly, whatever Iwa planned to do with Naruto, he wouldn't take part in it. It was one thing to get revenge for what Minato did, but it's another thing entirely to take this revenge on the man's son, like he was in any way responsible for his father's acts. Second part Half an hour later, the first part of the exams was over and 60 genin passed to the second part. This part consisted of group fights. There would be 10 fights where 6 genins would fight amongst each other in each group. Then, the last 10 genin would compete amongst each other in a tournament, this being the third and last part of the exam. Naruto saw his fight and frowned instantly. All his opponents were from Iwa, not one from another village. He was getting even more suspicious than before, but he couldn't do anything if he wanted to pass this goddamn exam. Jiraiya, for his part, was also worried about Iwa's intention. Surely, this wasn't a coincidence, it wasn't random like suggested by the Jounin. Getting up, he knew a plan B was a must just in case Iwa decided to do something about Konoha, or more specifically Naruto. It wasn't possible in his opinion that Iwa would attack Naruto based on a hunch that Naruto is Minato's son, even if Jiraiya knew it to be a fact. He was but a carbon copy of Minato. Back to Naruto, the second part was already announced by the Jounin Shisho, and now a new terrain was being prepared by a group of seal experts. As they focused chakra on the scroll, the area started to shake as mountains began to grow around the center of the stage, while one shinobi took care of the river creation in the middle. Naruto observed this with interest as now he could explore different skills. First, he'd only shown wind manipulation, but now he could focus on his second affinity, fire. While he wasn't able to focus on Kyuubi's chakra, at least not for the moment, he could perform fire techniques without the fox's aid. It just took a bit more chakra as it was not his main affinity. As the fight started, Naruto could very well ascertain some talents that he was still due to see coming from Iwa. Some genin even displayed considerable skills in different affinities, and some used swords. However, one thing a hunter always knows is when he is about to walk into a trap. Naruto could very well spot shinobi that like him didn't belong to this exam. But while he was actually a genin in rank but jounin in skills, some were jounin in rank disguised as genin. One of them managed to perform a -ranked Doton techniques with such finesse that even the best Doton users in Konoha couldn't match him. Plus, their agility was on par with both him and his sensei Hatake Kakashi. The worst part was that the proctors weren't showing signs of being impressed, which to Naruto was a very dumb thing to do considering the circumstances. Suddenly, he saw one genin charge against a genin from Kirigakure before he embedded a kunai through his skull, surprising all those present. Sure, killing was allowed in the exams, but doing so with such finesse required talent on the field. By now, 4 out of the 10 fights were already over, as it proved to be quite the show for the audience. Surely, by now everyone didn't regret attending to the exams, but the 5th fight proved to be quite entertaining, as 5 Ua genins and 1 from Konoha would fight amongst each other. As the 6th genin entered the field and stepped on the water, Naruto watched the 5 genin, all smirking at him. They took positions around him as if they were teaming against him, which didn't come as a surprise to the blonde, considering he was indeed the target of this exam. That much he knew as he watched each genin take positions while watching the blonde's movements. To some of the audience, this act wasn't seen as cheating, seeing as the majority were Ua shinobi. In their right mind, they believed that anyone from Konoha is to be treated as a mortal enemy, and therefore should be killed no matter what. Nevertheless, there wasn't any rule stating that people couldn't form teams for a moment and take out the strongest opponent. And Naruto could only smile at this, as he now had the chance to use his katana for the first time in this event. Closing his eyes, he grabbed the sword's hilt before pulling out from its sheath in slow motion. He knew that once the proctor authorized the battle to start, all 5 of them would charge at the same time, so he was already concentrating a heavy load of chakra for this special technique. Suddenly, and much to the blonde's expectation, just as the proctor authorized it, all 5 of the genin simply vanished within a blur and charged Naruto at the same time. Positioning his sword on his shoulder, Naruto just focused on a single one-handed seal as he started molding the necessary chakra. Futen Shippo Shaoki Wind Release, Hurricane Barrier Jutsu. The sudden gathering of wind started formed around Naruto, until it escalated to a little typhoon. By the time the genin approached to land the strike, it increased to a powerful hurricane circulating around Naruto as it managed to send every one of the 5 genin flying. Naruto wasn't just going to stand there as he focused chakra to his legs and vanished towards the closest enemy. The first 2, by seeing Naruto approaching, tried to counterattack, but received a brutal strike from the hilt of the sword. Naruto promised he wouldn't kill anyone, but that didn't mean he couldn't strike out hard. He managed to hit one in the chest, but had to dodge once the other came with a strong kick on his back. Doing some backflips, Naruto managed to dodge incoming mud projectiles from the genin closer to him. Dodging the last projectiles, Naruto flipped his body, landing on the ground, before charging against the shooter with great speed. Placing his sword once more inside the holster, Naruto started making hand seals, and this time for a fire jutsu, as his strategy was clear in his mind. Katan Gaokakure no Jutsu Fire Release, Great Fireball Jutsu. The immense fireball was enough to blind the Ua genin, but he had to dodge, otherwise the technique would burn him alive. However, upon dodging, he went face to face with Naruto as he delivered an upper kick on his chin, sending the man flying. However, when the blonde was about to jump and land another strike, the guy displayed some heavy evasive skills and landed on the ground, before charging Naruto with a katana. The blonde parried easily, but the strength of the attack said a lot of things, and one in particular was that this man was no genin. As he parried another attack, Naruto blocked the attack with the aid of his muscles, forcing the attacker to drop his balance, as he landed a strong kick on his chest. However, when he was about to finish the second genin, Naruto's danger sense warned him to move, as a number of projectiles fell on his prior position like a fierce rain. Backflip after backflip, the blonde was having a bit of trouble dealing with these 5 without killing them. Suddenly, Naruto sensed the usage of heavy chakra as he saw one making hand seals. Doton Doryuden no Jutsu Earth Release, Mud Dragon Projectile Jutsu. Certainly, no genin could ever perform this technique, thought Naruto as he saw the Earth Dragon appear from the water. Because of the water, the mud projectiles hardened, and the blonde knew one hit would hurt like crazy. As the dragons shot the projectiles, Naruto was using chakra to evade them as he charged against the Earth user. Within no time, the blonde jumped on top of the dragon and landed a fierce flying kick on his face, before flipping his body and landing a strong kick on the genin's stomach, sending him unconscious instantly. Afterwards, he had to dodge as another came with some taijutsu moves. The audience was cheering as this fight was amazing. Well, at least those who weren't from Iwa, of course, as they were cheering for their village's genin. They wanted Naruto dead, but the blonde was very skilled. Back at the fight, Naruto already dealt with 3 genin, leaving 2 alone to attempt the impossible. If 5 of them weren't able to deal with him, then how could 2 ever hope to? Certainly, Naruto wouldn't think of giving them the opportunity, as he started molding a fast series of hand seals for Futenkei's no Yaiba Wind Release Wind Sword Jutsu. Suddenly 2 wind swords materialized out of nowhere and charged at the 2 remaining genin. They couldn't react fast enough and the technique pierced their skin hard. Naruto, though, targeted their shoulders as he couldn't kill them, but it was enough as they both were knocked out before being attended by the medic nin soon afterwards. The crowd grew silent as they had just observed 1 genin manage to beat 5 on his own. The Tsushikage lost his smiling face as each Iwa shinobi fell to Naruto's hands. He saw his skills, and he was impressed. According to his file, he was but an 18-year-old genin. And if experience served the old man, these 2 qualities don't bode well together. Usually, these types of shinobi are good only to occupy the battlefront as simple pawns. However, this Naruto person wasn't a genin, well, not in skills, that's for sure. Gaara for his part smirked the entire time as he saw the old man's smile diminishing each minute. Well, who told you to bet against Uzumaki Naruto, you old fart? Thought Gaara as he saw Naruto leaving the field. Third part equals. With the end of the second exam, 10 extremely gifted genin managed to advance to the third and last part, although the vast majority of them were a few seconds away from passing out. The consecutive fights took a great toll of their chakra and stamina, save for Naruto and a few jounin disguised as genin. The rest wouldn't be able to fight. Luckily for them, there was an hour break issued as the genin just chose their numbers and more specifically their positions on the tournament chart. Naruto took the number 5, meaning he was in a rather comfortable position. Because of his position, he was already in the semi-finals. This way, he could rest a bit and investigate a little. Everything in this exam smelled bad to him, and the feeling of walking into a trap was increasing as time passed by. Still, his mind couldn't process as to why he would be targeted in the first place. As far as he knew, the only ones after him was the Akatsuki, and Iwa couldn't possibly be affiliated with them. Granted, he heard bits and pieces of the village's involvement close to 8 years ago with the group, as the Sandaime Tsushikage needed a mercenary group to take care of some dirty secret, but as far as he knew, it was a one-time deal. What could Iwa possibly want with a nobody like him? Naruto was an orphan, and even though he managed to sabotage some evil plans from coming to fruition, none of them ever involved Iwa nins. In fact, this was the first time he'd ever fought against someone from this village. An hour later, the fights initiated as the terrain now changed to a plain field like the one in Konoha. However, the blonde wasn't interested as he was processing the information he collected so far. The hidden village of Stone always had issues with Konoha because of the Yondaime's deeds after the last Great Shinobi War, and the fact that Naruto was from Konoha meant that somehow Iwa was targeting him because of his village. But that fact alone didn't count as much. Surely, Iwa would be worried over attacking a leaf shinobi outside the limits of the exam, since it would cause a war between nations. Whatever reason that old fart of the Tsushikage had in mind would have to wait, as Naruto's fight was already up. The fights, up to now, were fairly quick. The Jounins wiped the floor with their opponents, and a few prodigies managed to win with impressive skills. However, Naruto's opponent was already tired from the 2 prior fights. The fighting didn't even commence and Naruto vanished in a blur, surprising his opponent, who happened to be from Suna. He manifested behind the shocked genin and landed a swift blow to the back of his neck, sending the little boy to unconsciousness. Given that he was at the semi-finals, Naruto was now the exam's finalist as he waited for his opponent from the other side of the chart. The blonde didn't doubt for a second that his opponent would be one of the Jounin. Of course, he was still due to realize it was true goal, but one thing he was certain about. He was the target. As the final fight was up, the crowd was eager to witness two prodigies, one from Konoha and one from Iwa. Naruto managed to show impressive skills, even if, unlike his opponent, he had yet to kill anyone. For a civilian, killing someone meant you're superior, but for a ninja, winning the battle without killing requires more skill and finesse. Certainly, hadn't they wanted the blonde killed, they would vote for Naruto to win. As the two combatants joined in the middle of the field next to the main proctor Shisho, they were eyeing each other with severe scrutiny. Naruto could assemble some interesting data on his opponent. The distance set between them that serves both for offensive and defensive purposes, the advanced taijutsu stance, and the incredible usage of the henge no jutsu as he was disguised after all. Just as Shisho announced to the crowd the beginning of the tournament match, the Genin vanished from sight and landed a straight punch on Naruto's jaw, surprising the blonde as he didn't see him move. Nevertheless, the punch came without much strength as Naruto flipped his body and landed on the ground, before charging his opponent with a straight kick. His opponent blocked, though, before vanishing once more and appearing behind Naruto before he even knew what happened. When Naruto turned, he met a straight kick on his face as he was sent flying. Focusing some chakra to his eyes, Naruto focused his attention on the man's moves, and while he couldn't see clearly, the blurs were enough to allow him some evasive movements. As the blonde dodged a fast kick, he took his sword once more and started attacking his opponent. Because of the kenjutsu advantage, the blonde now focused chakra on his feet as he increased his speed. While intercepting the Genin, Naruto combusted his katana with fire chakra, transforming the already menacing sword into a deadly one. Certainly, Naruto had already faced this kind of skill before, and it was recent, he could tell. It was when the man vanished that Naruto suddenly remembered his second opponent, Masaburo. Somehow, this guy must belong to Masaburo's clan, as the skills were the same. All of a sudden, the opponent produced 4 mud bunchins as they surrounded Naruto. Each of them started making hand seals as they all finished at the same time with the snake hand seal. Doton Teijo Doridan, Earth Release, Multiple Mud Projectile Jutsu. The bunchins shot consecutive mud projectiles at Naruto, who for his part and by instinct did a couple hand seals for a minor Futon defensive jutsu, thus defending the mud projectiles. Even before the techniques ended, Naruto needed to take care of the bunchins, so he summoned 10 cage bunchins that managed to wipe out the entire group of mud bunchins. When he was about to face the Genin, the man vanished once more and landed a fierce punch on his chest. As the blonde skidded on the ground, he was getting sick of this shit. It was time for action. Kyubi, I had enough of this guy, it's time to wipe the floor with him. I thought you'd never ask, brat. All that fight was beginning to bore me to death. As Naruto focused on the fox's chakra, his eyes transformed to that of the fox's, and his whiskers were more defined. Now as his vision improved, he could very well see the man move as Naruto managed to dodge the kick, before landing a reverse kick on his chin, sending him flying. Then Naruto charged with unknown speed, and landed a fierce kick on his abdomen, crushing his body on the ground. His opponent spit out blood instantly, as his lungs were having trouble inhaling the much-needed air. Also, because of the strike, he lost his focus on the henge technique, thus showing to the entire crowd the real image of Masaburo's father, Senkasoki Kenshin. And, just for your knowledge, Senkasoki means flash step in Japanese. It happens to be Masaburo's clan name. Their skills rely on a similar skill to Tsunade's perfect chakra control, but they use it to increase their speed and for evasive maneuver. Letting go of the Kyubi's chakra, Naruto looked at the proctor Shisho, demanding explanations as to why an Iwa Jounin was disguised as a genin. However, Shisho remained silent as he looked at the blonde. Suddenly, Naruto saw a dwarf hovering on the ground near Shisho, before realizing in surprise that he was the Tsushikage. The man was smiling from ear to ear, probably because, unknown to Naruto, he would now get revenge for what Minato did a long time ago. There was an impressive display of skills, dear boy. Too bad you'll die here. Son of the Yondaime Hokage. Naruto's eyes suddenly widened to unknown proportions at the sudden implication of what the man said. He was so perplexed right now that he didn't even acknowledge the sudden rain of kunai that shot from behind the stadium and outright covered the sunlight, all having the same target. Chapter 18 Revelations and Consequences. The massive kunai and shuriken pretty much covered the sun, as each and every one of the projectiles had only one target. The son of the Yondaime Hokage. A man who caused much grief to Iwa and its citizens would suffer just what every father, mother, husband, wife, son, daughter, brother, sister, and lover felt upon knowing who was responsible for killing their loved ones. The Tsushikage promised revenge to his people, that he would be the one to carry out his people's vengeance, but until today, Otoki couldn't do anything in retaliation from fear of pissing off the strongest hidden village of all the elemental nations. Konoha was prosperous to some, but dangerous to everyone who knew their darkest secrets. Now, as the projectiles started their descent towards a still catatonic Naruto, a smirk was threatening to show on his face at the consequences of killing the son of the man responsible for Iwa's downfall at the last Shinobi Great War. Onoki could practically hear the sound of metal piercing flesh as the projectile's shadows already loomed over him and his immediate subordinate. Now, it seemed like nothing would go wrong and Iwa would finally have its revenge. Doton Doriaki, Earth Release, Mud Wall Technique. Saber Shaoki no Jutsu, Sand Wall Technique. Immediately and much to Onoki's surprise, two walls emerged in front of Naruto, just as the projectiles reached their mark. Behind the two walls, Jiraiya and Gaara looked at Naruto's catatonic face and frowned. Jiraiya-san, take Naruto out of here, I'll vanish soon afterwards. Gaara said, as his body disintegrated into sand, earning a nod from the Sannin as he bit his thumb and made some hand signs. Slamming his hand on the ground, a huge column of smoke enveloped the stadium before Gamabunta appeared, much to the surprise of the Oa shinobi and shock from the most experienced ones. Before the giant toad mouthed his protest at being summoned in the middle of his lunch, Jiraiya grabbed Naruto's body and jumped on top of Bunta's head. Bunta, take us out of here quick. I'll explain later. Jiraiya shouted, earning a nod from the toad as he jumped far away from the stadium and from the village. Within a few jumps, Gamabunta was already in Fire Country territory as he left Jiraiya and Naruto close to a river. Naruto's face improved, but Jiraiya knew the boy probably wasn't even aware that his life was in danger, because of the information given by the Tsushikage. The Sannin knew Naruto would demand explanations soon, but for now, he would be left alone while processing the shocking news about his heritage. Jiraiya settled a camp for the two as he took care of some firewood and water. Meanwhile, Naruto was in turmoil as he processed the information given to him and by the enemy no less. He felt betrayed by those he came to love. Jiraiya, Tsunade and Kakashi most certainly knew about his father, but chose not to tell him. For what reason, though, he didn't know. Was it so important that they would have preferred his miserable state than letting him know who his parents were? Kyuubi was also awfully silent inside his head, and Naruto learned it to be quite disturbing, especially considering that for a demon, the damn fur ball couldn't keep his damn mouth shut. Putting his anger aside for a minute, Naruto pondered on his father for a while. Minato Namikaze was the Yondaime Hokage and greatest ninja in existence, but Naruto only heard bits and pieces of his life as a shinobi. He knew Minato to be the reason Konoha won the Third Great Ninja War because of his trademark techniques, the Hiraishin and the Rasengan. Also, he was the man who saved Konoha from Kyuubi's rampage by sealing it inside his son. As Naruto finished his train of thought, an unconscious anger grew and he was having difficulty controlling himself. There were times when Naruto would curse the heavens for the pain and sadness he felt while growing up, but in the end he got over it and assumed the position of Jinchuriki, but back then he wasn't aware what his old man did to him. He was furious with his father, and he wanted nothing more than verbalize it to anyone he knew. Unaware though, of his surroundings, Naruto continued dwelling on the past, and he grew to loathe his father even more. He was, however, being watched by a team of 6 Iwa Jounin that followed Gamabunta's trail up to this point. The Tsushikage was adamant about having Naruto's head on a silver platter, and he sent his elite squad to deal with the boy, while Jiraiya was occupied elsewhere. They all wore Anu armor and white porcelain masks to hide their identity. It only took one order from the captain for everyone to charge against Naruto like a well-coordinated unit. The man closest to Naruto unsheathed his kodashi in order to deliver the killing strike to Naruto's blind side. The sound of metal clashing against metal echoed throughout the forest as Naruto managed to parry the strike with his sword. The blonde was surprised at Iwa for going this far to kill him, but he wasn't interested in figuring out the reason. He was angry and he wanted to lash out at anyone, might as well use these goons as they attacked him first. Then with a smile that would send shiver to everyone's spine, Naruto focused some of the Kyuubi's chakra before gripping the hilt of his sword tighter. The Tsushikage wanted his head, but instead he would receive 6. It didn't take 10 minutes before the fight was over. A few minutes later, as Jiraiya appeared near the vicinity, he sensed the usage of demonic chakra and the sign of battle and rushed to Naruto's early position only to see a shinobi sprawled on the ground almost entirely covered by their own blood. Their arms and legs were severed from the body, and deep slashes on the neck region showed enough of what happened here. Walking a bit more, Jiraiya spotted Naruto as the blonde looked down on the last piece of trash who dared attack him. Jiraiya could feel the cold animosity as Naruto's sword was covered with the blood of his opponents. However, it was when Naruto turned to meet Jiraiya that the Sannin felt it. Fear. Naruto's eyes were shouting for blood, and the smirk on his face proved that he'd enjoyed every second of what he'd done to these men. Whatever innocence Jiraiya sensed in him before was gone. Naruto became a killer and assassin, and for the first time since the Third Shinobi War, Jiraiya felt fear for his life. He wondered if every man that met Naruto's sword felt the same way. And just when he thought Naruto would attack him, the blonde settled to cleanse his sword of the enemy's blood, before returning it to its respective holster. He turned his back on Jiraiya and spoke. "Let's go back to the village, Jiraiya. It doesn't make sense being here when Iwa comes to investigate. But just to be safe, please step aside," Naruto said with a bored voice as he made some hand seals. Katanmakai no Kain, fire release Hellblaze technique. Exhaling a thin layer of white fire, it enveloped all 6 of the dead Iwa shinobi, bursting them into flames. Jiraiya watched as the fire only increased once it came in contact with the pool of blood. It didn't take more than a minute before all 6 of them were transformed into ashes as Jiraiya did a low-level Suton Jutsu to extinguish the flames so that the entire forest wouldn't suffer the same fate. However, Naruto paid little mind as he started walking towards the village. Jiraiya was by his side in an instant as he studied Naruto's behavior. For all he knew, those 6 meet Naruto's fury, and he could see that the blonde was more relaxed even though he knew his ass was still on the line of fire. "I've been wondering about something," before those idiots rudely interrupted. Naruto said, calling Jiraiya's attention. "I'm not ignorant to the necessity of secrets in order to save lives, and I certainly now understand why my position as the Yondaime son wasn't revealed to the public." Jiraiya was quiet as he heard it from the blonde. Naruto couldn't have understood Sarutobi Hiruzen's wishes that easily, surely something was wrong, but Naruto wasn't through. "What I don't understand is while revealing the truth to the world would cause Iwa's anger, what was the reason behind keeping me out of the loop about my parents this entire time? Surely, an orphan kid would want nothing more than to know who his parents were. But, instead, everyone thought it was best to keep me from the truth. For what, though? It was for your protection, Naruto," Jiraiya said before he saw a smile coming from his face at the absurdity of such reason. "Protect me?" The blonde smiled at the pervert's answer, although he found it to be the wrong answer. One wouldn't need to look further into his past to know that protection wasn't something he could count on. The trip back to the village was silent as Naruto pondered about what Jiraiya said regarding the reason why no one ever told him of his parents, and that it wasn't Iwa whom Naruto needed protection from, but the very people that lived in Konoha. And Konoha . The village gates suddenly appeared from within the thick forest that surrounded Konoha before Naruto and Jiraiya walked inside the village. Jiraiya considered taking Naruto to the Hokage's office, where he would certainly receive his Chunin promotion. It was after all the condition for returning his missions as a hunternin. Jiraiya felt the blonde deserved the rank of Jounin by his skills already, and he would talk to Tsunade about it. However, right now there were more pressing matters to deal with, that being it was open assault on a Konoha shinobi and the fact that Naruto just received the news of who his father was. Naruto, I will talk with the Hokage, okay? Jiraiya said, before he saw Naruto vanishing within a small tornado. The Sannin sighed as he continued on his path towards Tsunade's office. He feared that something bad was going to happen now that Naruto knew of his heritage and from the Tsushikage no less. Right now, as he calmly walked towards the Hokage's tower, Jiraiya was considering the ramifications of what that damn fool of the Tsushikage just started. The 6 dead Anbu at the forest was proof enough of Naruto's skills both as a shinobi as well as an assassin. With Naruto . Looking down at the village he grew up in, Naruto placed his hunter-nin mask on in order to avoid detection as he wallowed in misery. Out of the blue, though, a presence was sensed, more like 4, but Naruto knew them as a gray husky started licking his hand. It was happy to see him and surprisingly so, Naruto was also happy to see the little fella as he also knew that one special person was there as well. She missed you like crazy, Naruto-kun. When she sensed your scent, it didn't take 1 minute to arrive to your position. Hana said, with crossed arms as she saw her boyfriend caressing the dog's ears. So you're saying you didn't miss me then? To this Hana pouted, and admitted she missed him as well, before joining him on the Yondaime Hokage's head. The view was incredible and the wind was caressing their features in a rather relaxing way. Though despite the mask, Hana sensed that something was wrong with her boyfriend. She knew this because he kept facing the village without even acknowledging his surroundings, indicating that something was on his mind. You got something you want to talk about, Naruto? Even though I can't see your eyes, I can feel that something is wrong. The question surprised Naruto greatly. Was he so predictable like this? Hana didn't need to see him to reach this conclusion. Suddenly a smile appeared beneath the mask as he turned to meet her gorgeous visage. The only thing he wanted right now was to sulk in his own misery for a while. He deserved that much after years of focusing on what others believed. But right now, looking at those beautiful and peaceful eyes, he felt drawn to explain to her everything that happened. During the Chunin exams, Iwagakure turned on me. The Tsushikage attacked me just as I was declared the winner of the exams. Naruto said, surprising Hana for a moment, but Naruto wasn't finished. The attack in itself wasn't what had me thinking, but rather the reason behind the open attack of a ninja from another village. According to the old dwarf, they attacked me because I happened to be the son of the Yondaime Hokage, Namikaze Minato. The silence that soon followed was what Naruto had expected from such a revelation. Hana was looking at her boyfriend like he suddenly grew another head. No wonder, the man was the exact replica of the Yondaime. He was the man's son, for goodness sake. She started wondering why no one knew about this piece of information, or rather why no one thought of revealing it to the public. Most of all, she wondered why no one thought of revealing it to Naruto. Nonetheless, Hana figured that her boyfriend would be happy to know about his parents, so why the long face, she wondered. Turning to the man in question, she asked just that before silence followed once more. Would you feel better knowing the truth not from the people you love and cherish, but from the enemy instead? Everyone. The Sandaime Hokage, Kakashi Jiraiya, the Godame. They all knew and no one said a thing to a little boy, who by the way worshipped the Yondaime Hokage as his biggest hero. I know Iwa detested him for what he did at the Third Shinobi War, but to keep it from me all this time. I ended up doing something because of it. That right now I'm regretting like crazy. Hana could relate to what Naruto was feeling. After all, the news about her father perishing was only informed when she passed the Chunin test, and at the time, she knew by accident. No one told her about the real reason. What did you do? Hana was worried about the last part. After all, the man was angry at the Sannin Jiraiya for not telling him about the Yondaime maybe. After we managed to escape from Iwa's clutches, a team of Anbu followed us. They tried attacking me and I could have simply knocked them out and waited for Jiraiya to appear and deal with the situation properly. But I was so angry with everything and you killed them. It wasn't a question, but a statement, and Naruto just nodded. They were skilled and they wanted me dead, but I could have dealt with them without killing them. I've let my emotions control my actions, and with a bloodthirsty demon inside your belly, losing control is like releasing the seal that prevents Kyubi from escaping. The Inuzuka Chunin nodded like it was an understatement, but she was confused as to why Naruto was feeling this way. Was it because of his father, or the fact that he lost control over his urges to kill? At the Hokage's office. Upon entering her office, Jiraiya started explaining everything that happened since he left with Naruto to the Chunin exams that took place in Iwa. Along the speech, Tsunade was reconsidering revoking Naruto's license as a shinobi if that meant the end of her troubles. She always figured that he was a handful, but this was getting ridiculous. Problem was now that he was aware of his parentage, and that's not a good thing. What's worse is that she had one hell of a diplomatic issue to deal with. And that's about it, I'm afraid. As he looked at the giant-breasted lady in front of him, Jiraiya expected the woman to become insane after hearing what happened in Iwagakure. Hell, he wouldn't blame her at all. Naruto had something in him that attracts trouble. However, she handled everything like their sensei Sarutobi would. With patience, and a confident resolve to deal with the problem in hand like a true leader, and Jiraiya was impressed, until the lady spoke. I'm afraid there's nothing we can do, but come clean with Naruto. Tell him everything and hope for the best. That is the only plan, yes, but what about Iwa's move on a Konoha shinobi? The villages all forged a pact of neutrality. Even if moved by past actions, no village can openly attack another. As if Naruto was trouble enough, now there's Iwa to worry about. That damn dwarf went too far attacking one of mine. Problem now is, what should I do with this mess? Attack them and a new ninja war is upon us, do nothing and Iwa would walk away free without reparations. Tsunade was now feeling the burden of not being able to pass this decision to a superior. Of course, there was the alternative of discussion with the council. With Danzo dead, Tsunade didn't need to worry about his political ability to dissuade choices to his benefit anymore. Deciding to take the pressure off for a while, Jiraiya opted to change the subject. So what about Sasuke? How are you handling him? Tsunade looked at the pervert for a moment before she responded. Ibiki is keeping tabs with him from time to time. He's unresponsive most of the time, opting to close his eyes and meditate. I shared some words with him and it surprised me to see such indifference to living. I guess that with his vengeance fulfilled, he doesn't see any point in living. Nevertheless, we have yet to settle a suitable punishment for him. I've left his peers in charge with the proper penalty. Shikamaru and Shino are expected to hand it to me by tomorrow. Uchiha Itachi damaged that kid's mind in such a way that if Sasuke didn't focus solely on revenge, he would have gone nuts by now. So, he has no drive anymore. Tsunade nodded, before sipping a bit of her tea and sighed in dismay at her current predicament. Only one action was clear at this point as she took one scroll from a secret compartment inside the Hokage's table and threw it to Jiraiya. The pervert, for his part, looked at the Hokage in surprise. It's high time we gave it to him, Jiraiya. He deserves to know the truth straight from the horse's mouth. Also, you can tell him about his promotion as well. After what happened, Jounin is the least I could give him. Jiraiya nodded before leaving the office, letting Tsunade alone as she looked through the office window at her ancestors and sensei. However, for some unidentified reason her eyes focused on Minato's head instead of her sensei's or her grandfather. This problem had everything to do with Minato, as he was the one to start this entire mess. Given the fact he alone pretty much wiped Iwa off the existence of the elemental nations, Iwa was now demanding retribution by going after the man's son. It was the same idiotic behavior followed by the villagers after the Kyubi attacked. They blamed Naruto like he was responsible for everything, just as Iwa wanted Naruto's head for something his father committed. In her opinion, it was an idiotic issue of epic proportions, and Tsunade was cursing that old man Tsushikage with a passion. With Naruto . The sun was already on the verge of setting, and the couple was starting to get hungry. After talking with Hana for God knows how long, the blonde was feeling lighter, as if everything was back to normal once more, even though he still remembered the truth that he was the son of the famous Yondaime Hokage, and he was informed by the man who wanted his head decapitated and served on a silver platter. The dogs were up front as Naruto and Hana went down the Hokage mountain before heading straight to the barbecue place, every and Yuzuka's favorite, according to Hana. Naruto actually enjoyed some fine meat every once in a while. Once inside, the couple took a nice table next to the set of windows as the waiter handed them the menus. Hana asked for some meat for her huskies as well as a nice T-bone steak for her covered with barbecue sauce, while Naruto settled for a well-sized sirloin steak served with some French fries. Naruto wasn't in the mood to hide his face from the public as he released his mask, surprising Hana for a bit. However, she didn't bother to ask about it. Her boyfriend was facing a tough trial right now, with knowing about his family after all this time, and it wasn't her place to get in the middle of it. She just hoped, though, that he would open up more to her about it. Actually, he opened up a bit once they were at the monument, but now that he released the mask, he lost the focus in his eyes once more. The place was getting crowded by the minute, and Hana wondered what would happen if any one of Naruto's peers saw him without the mask. The blonde worked hard to cover his identity, and Hana would be damned if she would let such a situation ruin everything her boyfriend worked very hard for. With a little genjutsu, Hana was able to place the mask back on his face, and no one could see the real face of the hunter fox. The dinner was delicious, and soon Naruto and Hana left the restaurant before heading straight to Naruto's apartment. Once the door was closed, Hana dispelled the illusion on Naruto's face as she saw him looking at the moon outside, glowing with all its majesty. She could feel every bit of his misery, and her heart was aching in pain from seeing him like this. She had to do something. Without even thinking, she hugged Naruto from behind. "Naruto, please talk to me." "Hana-chan, I'm sorry." "But..." Naruto tried convincing her, but Hana was obstinate and wouldn't give in. "You can trust me to open up, my dear. You're the love of my life, you're special to me. I want you to trust me, please." Naruto turned and looked at Hana as tears escaped from her eyes. She was crying for both of them. No matter what happened in his life, nothing, absolutely nothing, was sadder than seeing his girlfriend cry, and as he approached to wipe the tears of her face, he realized that she was crying because of him. Hana felt Naruto's hands on her face, and looked up to see his eyes looking at her with utmost intensity. It wasn't the usual lifeless eyes of someone who has given up in life, it was the opposite. Two ocean-deep blue orbs looking at her with passion, honesty, and above all love. She felt warmth within her heart. She felt confident that she could save this man from his worst enemy, himself. Now, as the couple stood inches away from each other, both approached the other pretty much simultaneously, before their lips met. Hana instantly felt a tingling sensation in her stomach as she could feel the warm energy coming from her boyfriend while sharing a deep and loving kiss. It didn't take long before their hands started massaging the other's body slowly and tenderly. Hana then opened Naruto's leather jacket zipper before taking it off while maintaining the kiss. Naruto, for his part, didn't waste time and took his girlfriend's Chunin vest off. As they stopped kissing, each looked into the other's eyes as the next events were pretty much certain for both of them. They kissed once more as Naruto started leading the Inuzuka Chunin to his queen-sized bed. Hana smiled at her boyfriend as her hand slowly admired Naruto's firm arm muscles, while her hormones started influencing her judgment, and she was enjoying every minute in great anticipation for what she knew would come. She hoped to save Naruto from his misery, and from what she saw on his eyes, it proved that he trusted her, and he wanted her to be there for him. She wouldn't deny any of that as Naruto laid her on his bed, before getting on top of her, while never breaking the fierce and passionate kiss. It felt like a promising start to both of them as their hormones took over. Unknown location . After maybe the best sex ever, Naruto was somehow alleviated. His situation didn't change much. He still searched for answers as to why no one ever told him about his father and his mother. However, there was still another issue on his mind. Hana fell asleep soon after the love-making, and Naruto would have as well, but he had to visit someone. Naruto needed to know about Sasuke's final destination, and only one man knew more than him about missing nins, and that was the hunter nin commander. Sasuke was considered an ranked missing nin, but a special one. Naruto could have killed the insolent traitor with a single kunai. He was unconscious next to his dead brother, but Sasuke had to be captured instead of killed, much to Naruto's displeasure at the man's blatant favoritism. However, now that he was captured, Naruto didn't know what Konoha would do to him, and quite frankly, he wanted to know what would happen to the Uchiha. He didn't care if Konoha voted for his death, or for him to give the village many babies with Sharingan. By slicing the criminals' throats, Naruto felt certain that they were dealt with for good, but never before had Naruto had to capture a missing nin, and he was curious about what Sasuke's punishment would be. Going through a false wall located in an abandoned building, Naruto went down the long set of stairs, until he reached the hidden hunter nin base. This time, Kira wasn't there, and Naruto assumed the woman was either hanging out with Anko or doing her shift at the hospital. The floor looked like it was abandoned, as Naruto couldn't sense anyone there, except the very man he wished to talk to. Uzuchi Geishi was a feared shinobi for his skills in assassination, but for the man to survive down here without anyone to accompany him was staggering to Naruto. It felt like a place of solitude, just like being alone out there, hunting criminals. Suddenly, a door pushed open and Geishi exited the room, before landing his eyes at the newcomer. "Ah, my favorite hunter nin, come in my office, Naruto. What can I do for you?" Naruto nodded and approached Geishi's office before hearing the door being shut. He immediately took a seat in front of the cold metal table and waited for his commander to sit in front of him before he began. "Sir, I was hoping you could fill me in regarding a certain captured missing nin. A-ranked. Uchiha Sasuke, I presume." Naruto was surprised since he had yet to say the name of the criminal, but then he figured no A-ranked missing nin would be captured, only killed. Sasuke's situation was the exception. Also, the fact that Geishi's usually normal tone reduced to a more somber one because of it, meant that he wasn't comfortable with such leniency as much as Naruto was right now. "I was trained to eliminate those who conspire against Konoha's well-being, and as such Uchiha Sasuke is considered, to me at least, the worst of the A-ranked list. I was merely curious to know what Tsunade-sama plans to do with him, considering his criminal record." Geishi smiled at the blonde hunter nin, before getting up and opening a filing cabinet. All information regarding Konoha's missing nins were inside this cabinet, and certainly Sasuke was as well. As he picked Sasuke's file, he looked at the last page before looking at Naruto. According to this file, Sasuke's fate will be decided by the very ones in his graduating class. 2 of them were nominated as leaders, who will relay the information to Tsunade tomorrow. I believe you know the names Nara Shikamaru and Ibarame Shino. If you want to know about his fate, talk to these 2 and get a feel of them. Who knows, maybe you could persuade them to kill the bastard and be done with it. I know you feel the same way I do when criminals' leniency is concerned. Just remember to pass by for a visit and tell me about it, will ya? Don't worry, if it was up to me, Sasuke would meet his end like every criminal should. With Shino ==========================================================================================================================::::::'t=::::: was accomplish at his age. He was the leader of his genin team, the one whom Kiba and Hinata could count on with their lives, and even Kurena, the Jounin sensei at the time, was saved by Shino's bugs on a great number of occasions. Becoming a Chunin didn't take long, as he would have become one on the first try if his opponent hadn't bailed out of the fight. From there, his skills, both family and shinobi-wise, spiked the organization Anbu's curiosity with the possibility of drafting the kid to their forces. After he was promoted to Jounin, Shino received the invitation and accepted. Now, as an Anbu captain, Shino had his own team to lead, which by the way was responsible for a great many accomplishments as well. Right now, the man was leaving the Anbu HQ in hopes of getting some sleep after a rather tiring mission near Taki's borders. However, as he walked along the empty paths of Konoha, Shino couldn't help but feel the presence of someone tailing him from afar. Whoever this person was, Shino was impressed by the level of stealth presented. From him and his Kaikenkwu to not notice until now was astonishing, and the Ibarame felt like congratulating the man or woman. Suddenly, making a right turn inside a dark alley, he was greeted with his follower. Everything in the man before him inspired confidence, and Shino could tell there was a man with a lot of experience in front of him. Long time no see, Shino. The voice was stronger than he remembered, but his bugs couldn't be fooled that easily. Indeed, it is Naruto. Why were you following me? Shino couldn't see much because it was nighttime, but he could have sworn that Naruto gave a smirk at his question. I just don't like to walk around Konoha, that's all. People would know I'm here and I don't want to give them the satisfaction of glaring hatefully at me. Now, I was meaning to discuss something with you if I may. I was wondering about Sasuke's whereabouts, and I was hoping you could tell me something about him. What makes you think I know anything about that guy? Shino was normally controlled and rather stoic in some occasions, and up to now, Naruto figured there was nothing that would ever get a rise out of the stoic Ibarame Shino, but apparently just the mention of Sasuke's name was enough to change Shino's behavior. I'm not the smartest person around, but I very well know that as Anbi captain, there isn't much you do not know. Plus, as a future clan heir, I trust your father is relating important secrets of the village to you day by day. Now, I was the one that captured Sasuke and I was wondering why he isn't dead yet, considering he was an A- ranked missing nin, and in my book a person of such a reputation doesn't deserve to live. The passion in which Naruto speaks about this sort of thing was staggering, as Shino knew about his reputation outside Konoha's walls, but he wasn't finished talking. I know you as well as the others are deciding on Sasuke's punishment, and I want to know how it's going. Naruto considered the information given by Geishi to be confidential. He imagined that this decision of sorts would at least be an A-ranked secret and no one below Jounin should know. I guess discussing it with you won't harm anyone. After all, you're a part of our group, even if no one save Kiba ever sees you anymore. Shino's comment merely caused Naruto to smirk, but Shino couldn't see it. Indeed, Sasuke's fate will be decided by our group. However, as it stands, there are two possible outcomes. Live or die. To me, this decision doesn't require more than 10 seconds, considering his record. And these 10 seconds are in reference to the method of killing. Okay, if I were to guess, you, Shikamaru, Kiba and Neji are in favor of his death, while Hinata, Sakura Ino and Tenten are in favor of letting him live with a lighter penalty. Am I close? Shino's sudden silence gave him the answer. Chaochi would be the one to end the tie, but he chose to withdraw from the decision. That leaves 8 votes, and so far it's 4 in favor of his death, and 4 against it. Perhaps I could act in Chaochi's stead, after all I'm on the same class as you guys. Such a comment surprised Shino as he tried to assess what Naruto's vote would be. Close to 4 years ago, there were only 2 people that protected Sasuke's reputation, and one of them was Sakura. Naruto was the other. However, back then Naruto was a stupid genin, all but focused on believing in second chances. Right now, he was responsible for killing missing nins. It was his job. So maybe he would vote for Sasuke's death. The Ibarame remembered Sakura saying that if Naruto were to vote, he would clearly vote to save Sasuke, but Naruto changed so much Shino guessed that no one even knew who he was anymore. For some reason or another, I wouldn't know which side you'd be on. Shino said, surprising Naruto. 4 years ago, you'd protect him even if he killed everyone in Konoha. Now, you kill people based on crimes listed in the bingo book. Now Naruto felt insulted both personally and professionally. Okay man, let me tell you something. When I captured Sasuke, my hand was itching to grab any slicing object and end his misery. Now, if I did that, I would be violating the code of the hunternin, which states that under no circumstances must I overrule the bingo book. So, if the bingo book says capture him, I obey. Now, if this didn't answer your question, I'm not sure anything will. However, if my vote counted for something, you'd already consider it. My best guess is that someone voted me out from fear that I would interfere somehow. Probably Shikamaru, he is the smartest one from our class after all. By now Shino was confident that the person before him was not the Naruto he knew. He'd already met the hunter nin before, but not under these circumstances. I have a feeling that wasn't a question, but a statement. Indeed, he voted you out, and no one argued against it. Not even Sakura, no matter how much she repented after hearing our side of the story. I see. Well, there isn't much I can do then, other than wish good luck to your side. Now I wonder what will happen to him, considering you guys can't decide. Perhaps, the Hokage will decide the final outcome. Anyway, I have places to be right now. Take care, Shino. With that, Naruto left and Shino returned to his path towards his compound for a well-deserved rest. He didn't want to know what Naruto's next item of the agenda was. With Naruto . After a few jumps, Naruto was in a place he never expected to be. His sensei Kakashi used to come here all the time, but the blonde never bothered knowing about this specific stone. Upon looking at it, he could see a lot of names. Names from ninjas who lost their lives in the line of duty. He then saw his father's name listed there with bigger words than the other names, as expected based on his position as Hokage. Immediately Naruto remembered what happened in Iwagakure and squeezed his fists in downright fury. Naruto was still pissed about hearing of his father, and the fact that no one bothered to tell him about it all this time. But overall, he was wondering about his old man, and the life he had as the Yondaime Hokage. What challenges he had. What tribulations he faced to become Hokage. Above all, why he used his own son to seal the Kyuubi inside. All these questions now replaced his anger to morbid curiosity. I somehow figured you'd be here, Naruto. Naruto heard the familiar voice, and turned his neck barely to register his sensei Kakashi. He knew Kakashi was aware of who his father was. But in all fairness, physically attacking the man wouldn't do any good. But this didn't mean he couldn't complain. I always wondered why you came here all the time, sensei. Naruto said, as Kakashi approached his position. Is it because you miss your loved ones who perished in battle? Or you feel guilty for keeping me from the truth all those years? His tone was calm, but to Kakashi it felt like a ton of bricks right in his face. Kakashi talked to Jiraiya about what happened, and he knew Naruto might want to discuss it with him. That's why the man was fully dressed in his Jounin attire, equipped with all his gear as well as his new sword. He came prepared in case Naruto wanted to become physical, but that never happened, and Kakashi was surprised and a little bit afraid of what might happen. You got the guilty part right, Naruto, but not the real reason behind it. But this is irrelevant to your current predicament. Yes, I know who your father was, as he was my team sensei. He was like a father to me, and he helped me get through everything that happened to my life. Then why? Kakashi looked at Naruto, before sighing in dismay while looking at Minato's name written on the stone. Why no one told you about it? Minato sensei's name, as you know, is severely frowned upon in Iwagakure. If they knew you're his son at the beginning, it wouldn't take long for them to declare your head for everything your father did. Sandaime-sama considered. I'm not talking about Iwagakure, Kakashi. I'm talking about me. Why wasn't I informed of my parents? Growing up alone, with no knowledge from them, no memory to hold onto while growing up. I understood why my position as the Yondaime's son wasn't revealed to the public, but what I don't understand is why the information was kept from me. Please help me understand, sensei. Give me one reason why no one ever told me about my father. Kakashi could see Naruto's arm muscles trembling as anger was taking control, and that wasn't a good thing, especially when the Kyuubi is involved. I know you're angry, and I know you're demanding answers, but no one can answer them. Except your own father. Naruto was immediately shocked at Kakashi's answer before Jiraiya appeared and handed Naruto the scroll that, hopefully, would answer all of Naruto's questions. The blonde was taken aback by Jiraiya's presence all of a sudden, but took the scroll nonetheless and calmly unstrapped the lace around the parchment before reading its content. Hello, Naruto. When you read this, I hope you are already a Jounin in terms of experience and skill. In a few moments, the Kyuubi no Yoko is going to attack Konoha, and it's my duty to protect the village at all costs. I have developed a specific technique that will deal with the damn fox once and for all. However, the price for this technique is something no father would or should ever bear in his conscience. As you're now aware of the fox inside you, you know what I'm talking about. Also, you should know that I couldn't ask anyone to give me their son or daughter for this. I know I wouldn't think twice before denying the request. Know this, my son. You are a hero to the village, and don't you dare ever think otherwise. No matter what people say, you're the hero that will keep the fox at bay. I know your life won't be easy because of this, and for that, I'm sorry as well. You'll face hardships no child should suffer while growing up. However, I'm certain you will overcome them as you happen to share my blood, and I know the word giving up doesn't appear in our vocabulary. Furthermore, because of who I am, I asked Sarutobi-sama not to reveal your heritage until you could properly defend yourself against my enemies. Shinobi are vicious individuals, and they won't stop until they received retribution for what happened at the last Shinobi War. And because of this, I felt it was better to keep you away from the truth until you're powerful enough to defend yourself against them, so please don't be mad with him or anyone confided by him for keeping this from you for so long. I accounted the possibility of you being angry with me, but considering the circumstances Konoha and our family is facing, I just couldn't take the chance. Your mother, Uzumaki Kushina, perished as a victim of a terrible disease, and this technique of mine will certainly kill me as well. I hope old Sarutobi has taken good care of you in my and your mother's stead, and it's our wish that you become a strong ninja and true wielder of the will of fire. As I hear the fox's paws scratching our walls, I know my time is getting thin, but I wanted to leave you this letter, Naruto, in order to hopefully answer all of your questions. Last, as you'll see the kanji written below this letter, it's a containment seal. Inside is another scroll with the coordinates for my house. It isn't like a mansion or anything like the Uchiha or the Hyuga, but what's important is what's inside. I have collected a very extensive library of jutsus, and it's my inheritance to you, my son. Also, you will have access to two of my strongest jutsus, the Rasengan and the Hiraishin. Become a proud shinobi, Naruto, and always know that both I and your mother love you very much, and will watch over you from the skies above. With love. Yondaime Hokage. Namikaze Minato. Father of the great Naruto Uzumaki. Jiraiya and Kakashi stood still while Naruto was reading the letter. They heard him whisper the name of his mother with great sadness, as the memory soon hit them as well. Kushina's demise was unfortunate, and it resulted in Naruto being an orphan, without anyone to look after him. Suddenly, the blonde started facing the two, and they feared Naruto wouldn't take Minato's words to heart. However, Kakashi could see sadness in Naruto's eyes as tears suddenly fell from both his eyes. However, Naruto had enough pride not to cry in front of these two, so he simply vanished, letting Jiraiya and Kakashi looking at the location the blonde was before. You think he'll be okay? Kakashi asked, before seeing Jiraiya sigh in dismay. I don't know. He's a mystery to solve. And he didn't even let me tell him about his Jounin promotion, oh well. At the Hokage's office At this time at night, everyone was asleep except for the Hokage, the Anu, and a few shinobis, either located in bars or sulking somewhere else. Tsunade actually enjoyed these quiet moments as no one would bother her. Next to her was a bottle of sake, one of the best coming from Lightning Country. The warm liquid always calmed her nerves, allowing her some relaxing times. However, it was hard to have some time alone now because of her position. One of the Chunin responsible for delivering messages from other villages just came barging in her office, ruining her alone time. Tsunade-sama, an urgent message from Kumagakure. Tsunade was surprised by this, before snatching the scroll from the Chunin. Quickly unrolling the message scroll, Tsunade went through the rather long message written by the Yondaime Reikage. It didn't take much longer for her eyes to widen in surprise and shock at the news presented before her. Throwing her chair back with force, Tsunade got up and started screaming orders for the stationed Anu team hidden in her office. Anu, bring me Jiraiya, Naruto and Kakashi right now. I don't care if they're busy, I want them here right now. The eagle-masked Anbu appeared out of nowhere and vanished soon after in order to carry out the Hokage's request, leaving the woman once more alone inside her office to wonder about the sudden turn of events. Apparently, Akatsuki just captured the Hachibai Jinchuriki and the Reikage was demanding a meeting between the 5 cages to decide their intentions against the organization. Right now, the organization has 8 of the 9 Bajoas and Naruto, now was the last one remaining. Chapter 19 Internal Grief. Senju Tsunade was regarded by her Ami guards as a rather calm Hokage, most of the time. However, all of them knew that when the woman was angry with something or someone, her mood pretty much transformed. The team that was responsible for guarding her office knew the reason was justified though. Hell, it wouldn't be a surprise to them if the woman gathered a considerable ninja force and marched straight towards the hidden village of Earth and demand the head of the Tsushikage for openly attacking a ninja of the leaf in the middle of the Chunin exams in complete disregard to the pact of neutrality signed by the 5 hidden nations after the end of the Second Great Shinobi War. However, they also knew that with the meeting of the 5 cages on the way, Tsunade just couldn't afford to base her actions on revenge. Now, as the ninjas she requested were already inside her office, the Ami team settled to hide within the shadows as they returned to the duty of protecting the Hokage against outside threats that may manifest, while the woman was overseeing the village's choice of action. I suppose all of you know why you're here, so let's cut to the chase. Tsunade's look was one of pure calm on the outside, but everyone in the room knew that if someone even bothered to piss her off for good, they wouldn't get to live much longer. In all fairness, though, the situation called for it, in Naruto's opinion. The hunter ninja wasn't that interested in politics, seeing as he preferred a much more direct approach than discussing rules and negotiations breach. However, when an enemy village decides to openly attack a ninja of the leaf with blatant disregard for the possibility of open war, Naruto was smart enough to realize the midget Tsushikage's devious plan. Aside from the possible elimination of the one closest to Iwa's most hated enemy, it served as an open statement of war to Konoha. The thing was, if the council knew about the incident, Tsunade wouldn't be able to do a thing against their wishes to retaliate. Kakashi, you weren't there, but I trust Jiraiya already briefed you, didn't he? The woman didn't need to hear a response as she continued. For a long time, Io stood their ground, doing nothing to disrespect the pact of neutrality. Now, though their act against Naruto's life constitutes a clear breach, which only leads to one possible situation, one which I am not considering at this point, wouldn't you agree, Jiraiya? The perverted Sannin nodded and smiled at his teammate for thinking ahead. Indeed, that old coot planned this perfectly. Attacking Naruto served 2 purposes. The first reason is kind of obvious at this point. Jiraiya turned to the masked hunter Nin as he secretly processed what the blonde was thinking right now. The other was to goad us into a new war, possibly killing thousands if not more. The man was desperate though, I can tell. In us thinking like this, we have the political advantage, which can be used at the Cage Summit later on. Oloki is counting for you to openly attack him or either declares war against Iwa. He certainly won't expect a demanding on our part, regarding compensations. This time Kakashi took the microphone as he added his 2 cents to the conversation. And the Tsushikage wouldn't be able to say no, considering that he would have all the other cages as witnesses to his open statement of war. Of course, he will do everything to goad you, Tsunade-sama. He will use Naruto's image as motive for his actions, saying it was merely retribution for everything the Yondaime Hokage did to them. I bet he'll even crack a smile, only to goad you more. Tsunade nodded at Kakashi and Jiraiya's insight, before turning to the only person who hadn't spoken a word so far. If this was the normal Naruto, she would have considered this a blessing. However, he was different now. And that was dangerous by itself. She could only shiver at what the boy could possibly be thinking right now. What are you thinking, Naruto? I know from Jiraiya that he didn't have the time to tell you about the promotion to Jounin, meaning you're once again authorized for the hunter nin job. I just want to know your position in all of this. Besides attacking Konoha, they attacked you. So that grants you the right for revenge against them, which will be justified. The look on Jiraiya and Kakashi's faces clearly indicated their shock at the Hokage's words. How could she play with such a situation, considering who's inside the blonde's stomach? Naruto could very well storm outside this office and cause havoc in all of Iwa while using the fox's chakra. The blonde, however, only stared at the Hokage. He was wondering why the hell Tsunade was asking about his opinion on the matter. His job only involved killing missing ninjas. To tell the truth, I care very little for revenge. If Konoha, that means you Tsunade-sama, felt angered by the Tsuchikage's attack on me, then by all means do as you see fit. Also, seeing as you hereby granted me the Jounin position, I can return out there and hunt the bastards who raised a finger against their home village and bring them to justice. Guys like Uchiha Sasuke, that even though he openly betrayed the village, is still among the living for reasons I don't yet know. I trust that my being here affects very little the decision you are about to make regarding Iwa. That being said, there's no reason for me to remain. After Naruto closed his mouth, dead silence reached the room. Even the secretive Anbu hidden in the shadows stopped their focus on the Hokage and looked at the distinguished hunternin, who above all of the people in the room knew the path he chose for himself. The blonde, for his chance, didn't wait for a response and vanished from the room. However, if he stayed longer, he would have seen a single tear that escaped from the Hokage's eyes. Whatever happened to Naruto out there, she didn't like it one bit. His heart was still bound to protect the villagers, however the boy only believed in killing now. He lacked that sweetness and broad smile that would brighten up everyone's day regardless of what happened. The Hokage in her right mind couldn't blame anyone but herself for ever allowing Naruto to become a hunternin, but the mother side always pointed the finger on a third person, and that was right now the man called Uzuchi Geishi, the fucking hunternin commander who turned Naruto into a killer and assassin. The rain started pouring heavily outside the Hokage's window as lightnings illuminated the raven skies with dread. The Uzumaki Naruto was officially dead. Stealing her resolve, seeing as nothing could be done for the blonde now, Tsunade changed the issue at hand and started discussing about the Cage Summit. Kakashi, please gather Guy for a mission tomorrow morning. You two will be accompanying me at the Cage Summit. You, Jiraiya, will be appointed for Hokage in my stead. Normally, I'd ask Shikaku to fill in, but he's busy at the moment. While I'm gone, it will be required of you to watch out for those old fools Homura and Koharu. Everything else will be handled by Shizune, dismissed. With Naruto . Soon after leaving the Hokage's office, Naruto just stood outside in the rain as he looked at the village from the top of the Hokage building. Naruto didn't regret what he'd said, as everything wasn't far from the truth of what he wanted. Silently grabbing the scroll written by his father, Naruto started wondering about maybe getting to know what his father left for him. Still, it somehow saddened Naruto that the scroll contents wasn't all that clarifying. What his father told him was pretty much the same thing everyone said, and this fact pissed him off to no end. He just hoped that whatever he found at his family's place would be able to atone for sealing the most powerful Bajoa in existence inside his own son. Taking another look at the scroll's contents, Naruto memorized the location of his father's house, before placing it inside one of his jacket pocket. The Yondaime Hokage's house was located in a secluded area just behind the Hokage monument. It was strange though, he reasoned. Ever since he was an infant, he remembered going to that place, and not once did he see any form of construction whatsoever. As the strong rain bombarded the village of Konohagakure, only one person wasn't bothered by it as he jumped the rooftops towards the gigantic monument of the 5 Hokage's faces. It didn't take long before he was at the top of the hill as he looked at the village below. For a moment there, he stood with nothing on his mind. It was amazing how this place alone could cause him to relax, despite everything that happened in his life. He almost wondered if it somehow resembled a home to him. Which, come to think about it, might as well be his actual home if the circumstances of his past were different, and his parents were still alive. The blonde couldn't help but imagine what would be like. Oh man, I'm going to hurl right here. It's imminent. Stop whining over the spilled milk, brat. Now, besides the fact that they were your family, the Yondaime Hokage must have great knowledge of the ninja arts stored inside the house. What do you say we find where the house is hidden and check what he left for you? The fact that Kyuubi himself was perhaps the cause of Naruto's misery made the blonde snort at his fox companion's comment. However, strangely enough, Naruto actually felt relieved to have someone always there for him to talk to and everything, even when Naruto was out there hunting missing ninjas. Sure, furball. Though, from what I know of my father, his techniques were more related to Fuinjutsu, except for those which I already mastered. I don't believe we will find anything useful inside the house. Those books can say what they want. Only those who ever fought against him know of his skills, his true skills. The Yondaime Hokage had mastery over 2 elements besides being one of the best Fuinjutsu specialists I have ever seen. He had mastery over fire, Katon, and lightning Raiton. Trust me, the man had a nice repertoire of techniques, and as Hokage, he had access to many jutsus from other hidden nations. I wouldn't be surprised if he managed to assemble a private library inside his house. The fox had a point, Naruto reasoned. However, before he could think of what to do inside the house, Naruto was focusing on actually finding the damn building. Looking around the dark mountain, the blonde sighed as his eyes scanned through every possible location that someone would be able to build a house. Also, because of the heavy rain, it was hard to focus even upon channeling some chakra to his eye sockets. It's just a hunch of mine. But if I was the man, and I was worried that someone would try and break inside my house, I'd find a way to either secure it or hide its location. Now, as you've probably realized by now, there are techniques out there that could very well make a building disappear. I trust that, knowing your father and knowing in what he specialized in, you are able to figure it out. The hint was pretty obvious, and the fox actually knew what the blonde Hokage did, but he wanted the blonde to realize it. Fuinjutsu. He hid the house using seals, didn't he? But how can I locate them? Normally, when securing a house, one must create a type of chakra perimeter, using 4 seals around the property. I'll help you in finding them, even though I half wished to see you doing it yourself. It's much more fun hearing you bitch about something. Naruto snorted at his lifetime companion, but otherwise nodded in appreciation. Taking advantage of Naruto's eyes, the fox used his skills and experience in order to locate the seal's location. Actually, because they were on top of the mountain, there weren't many plain fields to look, and Minato wouldn't be crazy enough to build a house that could very much fall under the force of nature. However, this damn task was taking too damn long, and quite frankly, the old hatred for the Yondaime was returning full force. When the fox was about to give up and tell Naruto that he was on his own, his eyes spotted a glimpse of a small sheet of paper hidden behind some bushes a few meters northwest from the blonde's position. Instantly reaching the seal, Naruto passed his hand on it for a while, before suddenly the black ink started glowing. Interesting. It appears the Yondaime managed to create a specific seal array that only responds to his and your touch. It's quite obvious that I hate the man's guts, but I can't help but respect him even more now. It appears that the other seals are glowing as well. Look. In instance, the empty terrain was replaced by a nice yet rather simple country house with 2 floors and a garden that was now being bombarded by the heavy rain. Cautiously, Naruto placed his right foot inside the house's perimeter. After realizing it was safe, the blonde fully entered the perimeter. He was surprised to see the seals glowing once more, but nothing happened after that. I see now. Father didn't just hide his home for me to find, he did it to protect him and Mom a long time ago, in case his enemies ever managed to find this location. Seeing that his position was safe, Naruto walked towards the front door and studied for a while. He was curious about his father's overprotective and slight paranoid way of thinking. Instead of the usual door handle, the blonde could see the same seal design in its place. No doubt this was his backup plan in case the enemy ever managed to activate the seals around the property. Instantly touching the seal, it started to glow, before Naruto heard the distinct sound of the door lock. He didn't have to push the door open, though, as he laid eyes with the house stairs that lead to the 2nd floor. As soon as he set foot inside the house, he managed to see the empty living room. Immediately, a whole array of images flooded his brain of his father having fun in the middle of the living room, while watching a baby Naruto playing with his toys. Another image soon followed of Jiraiya entering the house with a new gift, and the baby Naruto jumping in joy at the old man's presence. Once he found the light switch, the blonde was surprised at the sudden warm feeling inside his heart, as if he actually found something he'd been looking for his entire life. He laid eyes on a couple portraits on top of a wooden table located in the middle of the living room. Upon taking one, he saw his father there with a gorgeous red-haired woman. Her hair extended down her waist and she had a smile that was enticing. It took a moment, but Naruto was able to see the pregnant belly and stopped breathing all of a sudden. Mom. She looked so happy in this picture. A smile soon appeared on his face as he now knew who his parents were. Ever since Naruto was an infant, all he wanted was to know about his parents. He didn't wish a public announcement or anything. He just wanted to know who they were and, if possible, see a picture or two. He wished someone would share a story or two about them, but he wasn't sure if anyone was even willing to do that. I guess I'll take what I can get at this point, he reasoned as he placed the portrait back on. The house was deadly silence, only filled by the heavy rain noise outside. After half an hour of walking around, Naruto appeared satisfied as he returned to the living room. So far though, Naruto couldn't see anything that resembled a library, or even a single book or scroll hanging around. The blonde knew that his father would have created some sort of secret passage, considering the level of security he used to hide this house. He started looking around the living room, channeling more chakra to his eyes in order to further improve his sight, and maybe find the damn seal. However, that idea went out of the window soon afterwards. He then started to pass his hand on the wall, hoping to somehow trigger the hidden seal, but again to no avail. Naruto was getting frustrated by the minute, and wondered why the man was so paranoid like this, even inside his own house. As he passed through the wall closest to the kitchen door, though, he noticed that he could somehow feel the seal tag with his hands, even if he couldn't see it. If Fuinjutsu wasn't enough, Tasan even casted a damn genjutsu to hide the seal array. It took a simple flare of Naruto's chakra for the real wall to appear before his eyes. The seal array was right in front of him as he touched the seal, just like he did with the other one so far. A grin appeared behind the mask as he heard the peculiar sound of a door opening before a secret passage opened. The blonde could see a huge set of stairs illuminated by candles on both walls. At first, Naruto wondered if, given the level of security so far used by his father, if the man created a trap of some kind for the enemy that managed to reach this far. Looking at the walls, Naruto was able to see transparent wires on top of the 10th step. Throwing a single shuriken, Naruto sliced the wire before the show started. A great number of torrents materialized from the walls and would have burned every single enemy that would be stupid enough to walk down the stairs without worrying about the hidden trap. The fire lasted about 2 minutes before the blonde started walking down the stairs. After about 5 minutes, Naruto finally reached a place that resembled a library. However, Naruto was astonished at the amount of knowledge gathered by his father and possibly his mother. From what he could see, the shelves were organized in terms of ninja arts, going from taijutsu styles to genjutsu, then all 5 types of elemental ninjutsu. Naruto could see one section with the word fuinjutsu, and he wondered how much he would have to study in order to fully grasp his father's most prized technique, the Hiraishin. It was simply a gold mine for any shinobi or kunoichi, and the blonde understood the importance of keeping the house invisible to everyone outside his family. Naruto wouldn't be surprised if such security was meant for some Konoha shinobi as well. No doubt, people like Danzo would be thrilled to spend at least a week analyzing the fourth's knowledge if he wasn't dead, that is. Getting through the skills he knew best first, the hunter ninja went to the ninjutsu section. Right now, Naruto had knowledge of 3 elements, those being earth, Datan, wind, Wuden, and fire, Katan. He figured that it would be a waste of time checking for earth techniques, seeing as the techniques he used were more for defense in this department. Wind techniques weren't his topic of mind right now, considering that he already had a nice repertoire of both offensive and defensive techniques. His target, though, was fire techniques. According to the fox, his father had both lightning and fire affinities, hence why the man must have some very powerful techniques of both, hidden somewhere. Quickly scanning the fire section, he passed through C and B level ones, going straight to the ranked ones before grabbing that particular scroll. Quickly scanning the different techniques, Naruto skipped the ones he already knew. After passing through all of it, which wasn't much considering the high rank, Naruto managed to write down 2 techniques that he found useful. Katan Daryuka Fire Release, Great Dragon Fire Technique. Katan Kokyo Ryor Fire Release, Dragon's Breath Technique. Finding an empty scroll, he proceeded to write the technique's description, hand signs, amount of chakra needed, and method of molding. Naruto found out that his father's description wasn't focused on theory, like some of the books the Sandaime Hokage wrote. Minato's theory was reserved to the art of seals, whereas in terms of ninjutsu, the man preferred practice. Therefore, instead of explaining the concept of fire molding, the 4th Hokage described terms like chakra feeling, the amount needed and the exact release time so that the jutsu won't backfire and burn the ninja's lungs. Feeling satisfied, the blonde went to the section reserved to the art of seals. As he grasped the book titles, he could see a wide range of theory behind the art, going from chakra calligraphy to time-space theory, to which Naruto admitted never hearing anything about. He was hoping that his father had something that covered everything there is to know about the art of Fuinjutsu, because quite frankly, he just couldn't take the entire section with him outside the village. Suddenly, Naruto's eyes landed on a rather thick notebook almost at the end of the shelf. Flipping the first page, Naruto started reading. April 10th. It's been 2 years since I was promoted to Chunin, and I'm now in search for a new field to specialize on. Passing through the library, I found something that spiked my interest. The art of seals called Fuinjutsu. According to my research, it is considered a lost art, though it's written that anyone who manages to master all its aspects and theories will have a tremendous advantage in the midst of the battlefield. Sensei Jiraiya is perhaps the only one in Konoha considered a master on the field, but I have yet to see any significant usage aside from storage seals and exploding tags. Naruto was surprised to find his father's diary. He went to the next date as he continued reading. April 12th. After tons of research on the art of seals, I can honestly say I'm hooked. There is a lot of material to cover, sure, but I bet the results will show itself with Konoha's victory against those vicious Iwagakure shinobi. The second great ninja war is in full force right now. With this new art, I'll hopefully be of better use to the village. Therefore, I decided to create this diary in order to register everything there is to know about the art of seals. Everything that a ninja needs to understand in order to become a master, as I intend to be one. Also, even though it's too early for me to even think of having a family, being only 13 years old, this diary will serve as a guideline for the future generation to come. So, to the one who reads this journal, I'll be listing my findings and also some techniques that I already found in my research. Deciding that that was enough reading, Naruto scanned through the next 100 pages and smiled upon seeing a great load of material collected by his father. After walking around the room a bit, Naruto was surprised to see a narrow corridor at the end of the library. Purely driven by curiosity, Naruto went through it before he reached what appeared to be a dojo. So this is where you developed your skills in secret to San? The blonde found strange, though, that the walls were covered by gigantic seal arrays. Impressive yet again. These seals are quite rare. They are called Fujutsu Kyuin Sealing Technique Absorption Seal. What are they for? They manage to seal any ninjutsu, being elemental or not. The man must have placed them here in order to perfect his ninjutsu techniques without needing to worry about damaging this place. It's quite the skill to possess, Naruto. Quite possibly, you would be able to seal off any type of ninjutsu, even the most dangerous ones. Let's just hope that the Yondaime's journal contains its description. Naruto nodded, though his mind was focused in another use for this room. Well, I guess we can also test our new fire jutsus in here through the night, what you think? The blonde didn't need to be inside his cage to know that the fox was smiling at his idea. With Hana . The rain remained for a while, so Inuzuka Hana decided to deal with some late paperwork at the veterinary's office. It was a known fact that dogs hated rain, and she actually didn't mind staying a little longer. Long ago, Hana knew what she wanted to do, which was specializing in veterinary medicine. On certain occasions, she went on missions, but only when the Hokage is in need of a tracker shinobi. After filing the animal's files, Hana yawned a bit, before switching off the lights of her office. The rain decreased a little so it wouldn't bother her triplets much on her way home. I was hoping to catch you here, Hana-chan, Naruto announced as he just arrived outside the office. His clothes were slightly damaged from his ninjutsu training. The woman smiled at her boyfriend's presence, before giving Naruto a nice hug in appreciation for his presence. The smell of something burning reached her sensitive nostrils and looked worried at Naruto, who for his part only smirked, knowing he couldn't fool her. Quickly touching his clothes, it was considerably warm to the touch, as if the blonde just fought a fire user. What the hell happened? You're almost on fire. Easy. Hana-chan, I'm okay. It was just over practice with fire techniques. I slightly miscalculated the amount of chakra. Not to worry though, I've been through worse, Naruto said as he walked along his girlfriend and her dogs. Naruto suddenly felt the usage of chakra, before seeing Hana healing some small burned marks on his exposed skin. He could clearly see her worried face and smiled at how much he was loved by her and vice versa. Nodding in appreciation, Naruto gently caressed the woman's face, earning a smile from the Inuzuka. After that, the two walked in a comfortable silence towards the Inuzuka compound, not even caring about the population that slowly started to fill the streets now that the rain was gone. Within minutes, the compound was already visible and Hana smiled once two of the triplets ran towards the house, probably competing with each other. The female, though, stayed by Naruto's side as expected by Hana. She mused sometimes about feelings of jealousy, but at the same time happiness that the dog accepted Naruto as her boyfriend. Like her family, Hana trusted their dogs blindly, and if they ever snarled at someone, or even charged at him or her, it was for a damn good reason. When the couple reached the door, Naruto stopped for a bit, surprising Hana as she looked at him. Hana-chan, I wanted to tell you that Tsunade-sama just promoted me to Jounin, Naruto said, before he saw Hana looking down all of a sudden. On normal occasion, she would be thrilled with the news. A Jounin promotion demands respect, and right now Naruto was one of the village's elite. However, she knew now that nothing would stop him from taking the streets once more looking for the village's criminals. Nevertheless, Hana found she couldn't complain. It was his job as a shinobi, after all, to hunt the missing ninjas and criminals of Konoha and dispose of them. A smile soon appeared, even if it was barely noticeable. She understood her boyfriend's job. However, this time Naruto wouldn't go alone, that much she was sure about. She looked at her female partner with a smile as she was being caressed by Naruto. Hana could see that she was enjoying the ear massage tremendously. I understand, Naruto. However, I wish that you would take her with you on your trip, Hana said, surprising the blonde as he looked at Hana for a moment before looking at Manjutsu Full Moon. Are you serious, Hana-chan? What? You don't want her? I thought you adored little Manjutsu. No, it's not that. It's just that I don't know how to fight alongside them as your family does. Not to mention the fact that I'd be separating her from her brothers. Hana smiled at Naruto and kneeled to caress Manjutsu's fur. The blonde couldn't hear her from not being in Inuzuka, but Hana could, and Manjutsu was expressing her happiness uncontrollably at being with Naruto. I know for a fact, Naruto-kun, that Manjutsu-chan misses you when you're gone. Kaya-san told me about this one time, but I never had the opportunity until now to discuss it with you. Do not worry about fighting alongside her. Manjutsu here is quite adaptable to any shinobi, not to mention the fact that she is the strongest of the three. No doubt, she will provide great assistance in tracking your enemies. Also, if you accept my dinner invitation, Kaya-san and I will explain to you everything you need to know about Manjutsu-chan here and how to battle alongside her. Also, as I can see you're still hesitant in accepting, Kaya-san told me that her chakra pathways are ready for the final ritual. She already understands our language, but a jutsu of our clan is needed for her to actually speak. Naruto knew it would mean much to Hana and Manjutsu if he accepted. However, looking at the situation from a logical point of view, he wasn't sure if he was able to take care of Manjutsu properly. Sighing in dismay at his situation, Naruto found he just couldn't say no. Apart from taking care of Manjutsu, which he had little to no experience about, She could be a powerful asset in the tracking department, as well as fighting tough opponents that he alone couldn't handle. Okay, Hana-chan. I'll take Monjutsu with me. However, I expect a full manual on how to deal with her. Yes, Naruto, Takao, step inside, and let's begin your classes. Kaya-san, he said yes. Hana shouted, earning a sweat drop from Naruto, as he entered the compound along with his new partner in crime. Just how long were you planning this, Hana-chan? The next day On the very same date, cages from the hidden nations began their journey towards Iron Country, where the Cage Summit would occur in approximately 2 days. Senju Tsunade was no different, as she stood at the west gate, fully dressed with the Hokage clothes, as well as the fire red hat. She was flanked by both Hitake Sharingan no Kakashi and Mato Green Beast Guy. Jiraiya and Shizune were there among with the majority of Konoha 11 with the exception of Naruto and Sasuke, of course, just to see their Hokage leave towards the first major act of peace since the Pact of Neutrality signed after the last great shinobi war by all 5 cages. Minutes before Tsunade's departure, the gathered shinobi were about to leave for their current assignments when a hunter shinobi crossed their path, followed by a ninkin. To those who didn't know Naruto's real identity, the scene didn't strike as odd, but for those who did, it was a rather amusing sight. Shino glanced briefly at the smiling Kiba, before seeing the Inuzuka speaking in Anbu level signal. I'll tell you later, once we're secure. Indeed. Jiraiya and Shizune looked at Naruto's back for an instant, but both shrugged since it's somehow linked to his girlfriend. Naruto, for his part, as soon as he passed the gate, vanished towards a different direction followed by Monjutsu. He was a little bit tired from the lecture he received last night by Hana, Tsume, and Kiba in regards to having a dog partner. Needless to say, Naruto still had doubts, however Tsume told that he would be fine. Looking at the husky next to him, the blonde knew one thing for sure. He wasn't alone anymore. I still think you should have said no, that smell is pissing me off. You know foxes and dogs don't get along, don't you? Also, the fact that it pissed Kyubi off was a huge bonus. Ignoring the fox's growling inside its cage, Naruto continued traveling when his senses alerted him of danger at the Hokage's direction. Monjutsu also sensed, since she stopped near him. What should we do? Monjutsu asked, much to Naruto's secret amusement. Her voice carried strength and respect, similar to a seasoned kunoichi. Also, he was overjoyed by the fact that the dog didn't call him by his name. Let's go see if she needs help, of course. Kakashi and Guy are with her, but it doesn't hurt to check it out. With the Hokage . Since the meeting wouldn't happen for about 2 days, Tsunade and her bodyguards didn't see the need to rush. Also, going in a civilian pace, it would take only a day and a half. There was no word shared by them though, as Kakashi felt that he could catch up on some reading, which infuriated Tsunade. However, her thoughts right now were busy with other things like meeting with the dwarf Tsushikage and restraining her urges to castrate the man for his open statement of war against Konohagakure. Mato Guy though, couldn't help but comment on Kakashi's unyouthfulness in reading such book in front of the Hokage, to which Kakashi just shrugged it off and focused on the book. That, of course, pissed him off. However, all 3 of them stopped upon feeling enemy presence lingering around the bushes. Tsunade-sama. Kakashi asked for permission. By all means, Kakashi. But focus on incapacitating them first. As soon as Tsunade finished talking, the enemy made their presence known as they threw a great load of shurikens at the group. Tsunade didn't lift a finger, but her bodyguards were already on the move, with Guy charging at the closest to them and Kakashi lifting an earth barrier in front of Tsunade to protect her from the attacks. Quickly lifting his Hidayate, Kakashi revealed his Sharingan eyes before charging at the group with a kunai in hand. He managed to parry the kunai with a kodashi, before he landed a fierce kick on one of them, sending him flying towards 2 others, knocking them down. He could see 2 others flanking him from behind, before he began a series of hand seals. Doton Dorier Taiga Earth Release, Mud River Technique. As soon as the enemies landed on the ground to deliver the killing blow, the land was immediately transformed into a mud river, taking them away from Kakashi, who was already performing more hand seals. Suton Hanryo Water Release, Destruction Torrent Technique. The water technique soon merged with the mud river technique, sending the two enemies straight towards a gigantic stone a few meters to the north, knocking them unconscious as the impact was too strong. Guy, for his part, was having a blast using his Gauken style as he sent 5 of them flying towards a great set of trees. The rest of the enemies quickly fell victim to Kakashi's hypnotic Sharingan, and fell on the ground unconscious. Just as the last one was dealt with, the earth wall protecting Tsunade was dispelled, earning a nod from the Hokage as she inspected the group's identity, hoping to find out why the hell they would be attacking a village cage, without any reason whatsoever. Suddenly though, all 3 sensed a presence behind the Hokage as she turned to face the only one who managed to sneak behind her while Kakashi and Guy were dealing with the rest. When she turned though, she heard the distinct noise of metal piercing flesh and the enemy had blood coming off his mouth. As soon as he hit the ground, Tsunade and her bodyguard saw Naruto and what appeared to be a dog by his side as he dislodged his sword from the attacker's body. "I guess I arrived in the nick of time, Tsunade-sama. Don't worry though, I didn't hit any vitals," said Naruto, but the Hokage was more interested in knowing the group who dared attacking her of all people at a time like this. The masks and wardrobe were familiar, but she couldn't just place it. Kakashi and Guy soon appeared by the woman's side as they inspected the man Naruto took care of. Guy was the same as Tsunade, only vaguely remembering the appearance, but Kakashi knew about them. "They are the Hanya clan of assassins from Wood Country," Kakashi said, attracting Tsunade's attention as she turned to look at him in surprise. A couple months ago, Konoha received an intelligence report that the Hanya clan was somehow wiped out from the map by an unknown force. A part of her actually knew the reason behind the slaughter. When the hidden villages were founded, a great number of very powerful clans resided in unprotected lands. And because of their growth in skill, and the lack of a village's protection, others usually saw an opportunity to get rid of the clans. The Hanya clan was actually negotiating with Konoha to form an alliance of sorts. However, all of a sudden, they were wiped out save from this group, obviously. "Kakashi, send word to Jiraiya about this and tell him to gather an ambu team to escort these into Konoha's custody. I want a word with them after the cage summit," Tsunade ordered before turning to Naruto, who was waiting for a feedback. She took a look at the husky that took a seat next to Naruto, and wondered how the blonde could fight alongside a ninkin like an Inuzuka. However, she figured that either Hana or Tsume convinced him to add this new partner on his travels. "Hunternin, I appreciate the assistance. Now, I believe you have your job set out for you. May I ask who is first on the list?" A-ranked missing nin Hyliga Tatsuko. As soon as Naruto muttered the name, the 3 in front of him looked at him in shock. However, it was more at the mention of the missing nin's name. Tatsuko was in both Kakashi and Gei's academy classes, and they remembered in vivid details the woman's crazy behavior when just a genin. After receiving the caged bird seal, she tried to murder one of the clan's main branch members, only being stopped by Hyuga Heishi, who felt the level of killing intent back then. She managed to flee soon after. Naruto knew this, though, by reading the bingo book. According to the bingo book, the woman suffered a mental breakdown after receiving the caged bird seal of the Hyugas. Rumors estimate, though, that her brain was heavily influenced when Hyuga Saito activated the seal for the first time. I actually don't understand why no one ever captured her, seeing as her motor functions aren't the same anymore, but considering her bloodline, I guessed people were afraid of facing a Hyuga in battle. Now, seeing as the threat is done for, me and Manjutsu-chan here will go after our target. For a brain-damaged shinobi, she still has some knowledge on how to hide her presence. Last place she was seen was Tanzaku-gai, where she almost decapitated a civilian for bad-mouthing her, or something amongst those lines. Naruto then bowed slightly in respect to the Hokage and vanished towards the next set of trees, followed by Manjutsu. The rest looked at the blonde's old position for a while, before Guy and Kakashi heard the Hokage sigh in dismay. "Well, Kakashi, contact Jiraiya about the remnants of the Hanya clan and do it quickly. We have to increase our pace now, in order to reach there on time. Unknown location. Inside a dark cave, Located somewhere around river country, one individual was staring at the giant statue of Gedo Mizo as he considered the late disturbances to his plan. Words of Itachi's death by Sasuke's hands were first a blessing to this man, as he now would move to the next part of his plan. Convince Sasuke to join his cause and give him Itachi's eyes. However, as soon as Sasuke defeated Itachi, the younger Uchiha was captured by Konoha and taken into a place where Uchiha Madara couldn't for the life of him enter and get him out of it. His space-time technique required a heavy load of chakra, and if the room, as he assumed, was filled with chakra suppressors, then Sasuke wasn't within his grasp anymore. It was completely unfortunate, but otherwise not accounted for in Madara's opinion. Akatsuki suffered heavy damage because of the San Andrea and the damn Kyubi Jinchuriki. However, Madara still had his most trusted and loyal subordinates by his side. Right now, Akatsuki had 8 of the 9 Bijuas, meaning the Kyubi Jinchuriki was the only one left. Sealing the 8-tailed demon was too taxing on the remaining agents, and a beast as powerful as the Kyubi would require more chakra. Still, Madara was confident that any time now, Naruto would be captured and sealed as soon as they managed to convince someone with great chakra capacity to join their cause. Now, it was time to reveal his plans to the world. Nagato. Madara called, before 2 sets of Rinnegan eyes appeared within the darkness. I feel it's time for us to reach the Cage Summit and introduce ourselves. What you think? Chapter 20 Cage Summit. It has been 2 days since Naruto left the hidden village in the leaves and things went back to normal once more. He enjoyed being out of the village. It brought a sense of freedom, while at the same time maintained the level of loyalty that was expected of its shinobi. True, he loved his girlfriend and the time he spent with her family was more than anything Naruto could ever ask for, but being out here looking for missing nins was different. The thrill of the hunt was exhilarating. Add to the fact that he now had one of Konoha's best noses, no one could escape his grasp now. His next target, according to the bingo book, was last seen in Tanzakugai. Manjutsu managed to find traces of her scent lingering close by. The bingo book had enough detail on the target that a ninja dog with enough training could sense and triangulate their position. That being said, Naruto simply resumed to walk towards the gambling village of Fire Country. It wouldn't bode well for him if the woman spotted him coming a mile away and prepared beforehand. After all, it was the hunter's job to sneak attack someone, not the other way around. Not to mention that Tatsuko could very well flee, and Naruto would have to chase the woman once more. Within half an hour he reached the small gates of the gambling city, and went inside for a quick scout, before finding a hotel to stay. One of the traits of a hunter-nin was that he didn't need to worry about time. If he wanted to take a week to capture a missing nin, he was free to do so. Not that he ever had to wait that long, but it only made the feeling of freedom that much more enjoyable. As Naruto passed through the city, he could hear varied emotions coming from the civilians and even some of the samurais and rounins. Some screamed to the heavens asking how they could have lost their savings to gambling, while others just savored their winnings. It was always like this in the end. In gambling, either you win or you lose. Just like a shinobi, he supposed. The only difference was that by gambling you could lose all your money, but as a shinobi you could lose your life instead. Naruto could see Manjutsu sniffing around a bit, and he knew it wouldn't take long for her to locate the Hyuga missing nin. However, if the woman was as smart as he assumed, Naruto liked to always overestimate his enemies, she would be aware of their presence the minute she spotted the nin dog. He couldn't allow it to happen. Manjutsu-chan, let's find a hotel nearby. There is no sense scouting the entire village in one day, right? But if our target realizes we're here, she will have 2 choices. 1, try to flee, which is not advisable since we would have to chase her, or 2, she decides to fight in the middle of the city. I don't want either of these choices, so let's continue the hunt some other time. You've already located her scent in the village. Just focus your nose and memorize it. After seeing the dog nod briefly, Naruto turned to see a nice little inn just on top of a sushi stand. It didn't take 10 minutes to get a room, as the hotel wasn't so popular amongst the tourists. To Naruto, It suited just fine. It wasn't overpriced like some of the hotels he had to stay before, and the hotel's location provided him a nice view of the entire village without having to look around for his target. A couple meters far from the inn, a purple-haired woman was trying her luck at the poker tables, seemingly oblivious to the fact that she was being hunted. Being a missing nin, she didn't have a steady income, so whatever money she managed by protecting some merchant or being a Shylock for one of the small banks in Tanzakugai, she tried her luck in gambling. With her Bakugan, she could spot deception a mile away, and thus, she managed to win every time. It wasn't glorious, sure. But her entire life wasn't glorious after what her family did to her back in Konohagakure. The woman swore revenge against the man who used the caged bird seal technique on her. To this day, she could remember the unbearable pain. Suddenly, a lone tear escaped her left eye. It was a feeling she loathed, but still she couldn't get rid of it. An Iron Country . The trip towards the cage summit went without much incident after the encounter with the Hanya clan. Iron Country was a neutral country ruled by an old man named Mifune, a skilled samurai that perhaps was the only one with knowledge of chakra. As the party from Konoha entered the castle, they were soon joined by the castle guards, who halted their advance in exchange for identification. As Tsunade handled her invitation, Kakashi eyed the guards. All of them appeared to use a white armor, covering their entire bodies and swords strapped on their waists. It was obvious that they were samurai. While one of the guards was busy checking the validity of the invitation, the rest of them were bending their bodies towards the swords. With this, they could draw their swords much faster in case of an attack. "Stand down, all of you. Welcome to Iron Country Hokage Dono." A grumpy voice startled the Hokage and her bodyguards, before they saw the man responsible for this land, Mifune. By appearances alone, he didn't look like much. Long black hair, wrinkled face, and a weird-looking beard, he walked around with a black metallic cane to support himself because of his old age. However, in the ninja world, like Kakashi said, you always had to look underneath appearances. Mifune were once one of the best samurai, and his knowledge of chakra gave him an advantage in battle. Kakashi wouldn't be surprised if the man taught all his guards his wisdom. Konoha is the last party to arrive. The other cages are waiting for you past the door behind me. The bodyguards will be on the upper level through the door on my left. The Konoha party nodded as Kakashi and Guy went to the stairs leading to the upper levels, while Tsunade accompanied Mifune to the meeting table. The castle interior was ancient, and Mifune probably didn't care much about decoration. As soon as they entered the meeting, Mifune announced the Hokage's arrival, startling the other cages that were waiting. As she laid eyes on the Kage, she gave Gaara a brief nod, which was reciprocated by the young Kage. The Reikage and Tsushikage were old war veterans, therefore she knew all of them. Tsunade was surprised, though, when she saw the Mizukage. Terumi was one of the 7 swordsmen of the mist, and although very strong and equally beautiful, tended to be quite hot-headed and made mistakes. At least, it was Andrea's report after the end of the civil war in Kirigakure. "Greetings, Hokage Dono. It's a pleasure to make your acquaintance once more," said Onoki with a smile that infuriated Tsunade to her core. Kakashi did warn her that he would be goading her into retaliating because of what he did with Naruto, but she needed to maintain her composure here. Such unjustified acts wouldn't sit well with the other cages. It didn't matter though, she reasoned. In the end of this meeting, Iwagakure will be forced to comply with her demands, since the man just couldn't risk breaking the pact of neutrality without any justified reason. "The pleasure is all mine, Tsushikage Dono," Tsunade said as she went to the Konoha side of the table, not even looking at the still smirking midget Tsushikage. The man was a little bit surprised at the lack of hostility in her tone, but didn't stop pressing his luck. No doubt, he would be able to goad her into retaliating. After Tsunade took her seat, the leader of Iron Country called the meeting to order. "As all of you know, my name is Mifune, and I'm the leader of this country. This meeting was arranged by Reikage Dono, who also appointed me as moderator. The topic of discussion is the organization named Akatsuki and the threat it poses to the elemental nations. As far as we know, they are after the demons called Bajois and its respective Jinchuriki, Reikage Dono's brother being amongst them. I will now pass the word to the one responsible for this meeting, before we begin any form of discussions. By all means, Reconnecting Dono. After hearing his name, lifted from his chair, before slamming both hands on the table, as he addressed his fellow cages. He had white hair and a small, almost imperceptible beard. His exaggeratedly built muscles would suggest that the man preferred strength over speed, but anyone who thought that would be crushed by his immense power and control of lightning chakra. First of all, I want to extend my appreciation for all you present here today. I understand that the threat Akatsuki poses isn't recent as many would believe, but right now they've gone too far. Not only did they capture one of my village's top jounins Niujido, but also they had the audacity of kidnapping my brother. It's time to put a stop to this. The Reconnecting, despite his frightening figure, was considered a kind man regarding his family and shinobi. However, it went without saying that this meeting only happened because the man suffered the loss of his brother. Tsunade relaxed her stance a little bit as she leaned on the table, exposing her large assets to anyone who wished to see them. I understand your concern, Reconnecting Dono, I really do. However, like you said, Akatsuki's threat goes back a long time, almost 5 years now. In fact, my fellow teammate and one of the Sanin Jiraiya worked hard to gather all evidence of this organization and hand it to all my fellow cages, so that we could prepare beforehand. I'm sure you remember what you did with the information he supplied to your village, right, Reconnecting Dono? The frown on the man's face was evident, but the jabbing was justified, he reasoned. When Jiraiya came with the Akatsuki file, Ujido wasn't yet captured. Was a proud man, therefore he didn't think one single organization could scare one of the great elemental nations. An organization formed of 9 S-class criminals, all from each hidden village, poses a threat to everyone. Not only have they had knowledge of our most intricate defensive system, but also how to find the respective Jinchuriki. As all of you know, I was a former Jinchuriki and they simply captured me right inside Sunigakure. And they did without even alerting any of my shinobi. Also, despite their recent losses, courtesy of Konoha's Sanin Jiraiya, they remain a threat that cannot be ignored. Tsunade smiled at Gaara, who despite wanting to proudly say that Naruto was responsible for some of Akatsuki's losses, didn't mention his name. He more than anyone wanted Akatsuki dealt with. However, when she saw that Tsushikage smirking, she immediately knew something bad would come out of his mouth. That's a good speech and all, kid, but it seems your feelings against Akatsuki isn't shared by your predecessor and his advisors. I believe some of them even hired Akatsuki once or twice. What are you talking about? Gaara shouted as he lifted from his seat and slammed both hands on the table, quite to Onoki's smirk as he loved goading people. I'd advise you, kid, to question your advisor on this manner. You of all people here, Tsushikage Dono shouldn't be saying this, seeing as Iwagakure ended up hiring them a great number of times in the past. I guess the village resources were limited at the time, right? According to my spy network, before the Bajuas hunting even started, Akatsuki was collecting funds for their activities. Funds, I believe, that Iwagakure was all too happy to supply for high-level missions. Jiraiya may be a no-good pervert, but when it came to information gathering, there was no equal. Also, the reproved look of the other cages as they stared at Onoki made it all the better. I believe we are deviating from the subject at hand here, Mifune said, receiving glares from the cages, but he remained impassive. Whether or not one of the villages was responsible for the group's upbringing, we just cannot continue with the accusations. Now, as moderator of this meeting, I propose an adjournment. Today was meant for introductions only, but in the end, it resulted in bloody accusations to one another. We'll continue this meeting same time tomorrow. Now, all your accommodations are ready, so please follow my samurai. None of the cages objected to the order, as they respected Mifune's call on this manner. In order for a negotiation to happen, the parties must maintain a clear and objective mind. With Naruto ====. The next day, Naruto woke up and covered his eyes at the sudden sunlight that invaded his hotel room. Quickly covering his morning routine, the hunternin was fully geared in half an hour. Monjutsu was still sound asleep next to his bed. With a smirk, the blonde ate some ration bars, before opening the scroll supplied by the Inuzuka containing their specialized meal which was given to all of their dogs. It didn't take 2 seconds before he placed his dog's food on the ground and Manjutsu flew at him with its growling stomach. This food must have some kind of alluring substance to you, Manjutsu-chan, Naruto said as he caressed his companion a bit. We'll be busy all day, so eat everything. The silence that followed was enough for Naruto to consider the situation in hand. According to his companion, Tatsuko's scent was still strong, meaning the woman hadn't left Tanzakugai yet. However, Naruto just couldn't face her inside the village from fear of her using some leverage against him and getting away. He knew, though, that eventually she would have to leave this area. A missing ninja can't always be in one place. They must move constantly in order to avoid detection from the hunternins. It was a shame that Naruto's first A-ranked target was this sloppy when it came to hiding her position. Even if now he had a tracker in Manjutsu, in normal situations, a Hyuga would be able to detect his presence and flee right away. Something was definitely odd in this situation, Naruto reasoned. His chief, Uzuchi Geishi, always instructed him to follow his own instincts. Therefore Naruto always played safe by overestimating his opponents. It wouldn't bode well for him to underestimate someone, especially someone with a dojutsu like the Byakugan. It was better to assume that Tatsuko already knew that someone was following her. Seeing that the dog finished its meal, Naruto left the room and paid for the bill. After that, his eyes began searching for the missing nin, while formulating a plan to lure the woman away from the village and deal with her properly, without interference. After wandering throughout the village for half an hour, Naruto saw Manjutsu looking at a specific direction, before he looked as well at his target from afar. At least, she had the decency to hide her appearance from everyone. But it's her all right. Naruto then looked away as if he wasn't looking at her and told Manjutsu to walk away from his position, so that she can't find her. As soon as the woman rolled the dice, her instincts kicked in and she activated her Byakugan. Immediately, the image of yet another one of those hunter ninja appeared behind her. She immediately cursed as her sloppiness ended up revealing her position. However, according to her dojutsu, the man had yet to look at her direction, meaning that he didn't spot her yet. Cursing at the fact that she just lost her money, she walked away hoping to gain distance from the man. Quickly getting inside a dark alley, the woman started to run towards the village gate with the finesse taught by her clan, and her experience of escaping the hunter ninja's persecution. Her dojutsu allowed her to triangulate his position and flee accordingly. Meanwhile, her heart was beating fast for some reason. Her breathing was strangely quick, and she found out that her steps weren't soundless like it was supposed to be. She was having a bad feeling about this hunter ninja. Her dojutsu allowed her to see the shinobi's chakra coils, and safe to say, she was scared shitless. The hunter nin's chakra was immense, far greater than anyone she'd ever encountered. If they ended up engaging, Tatsuko doubted if she could win. No, I cannot go back to that hell. I prefer death rather than returning and suffering the clan's penalties. After taking a great distance from the gate, she activated her Byakugan once more to be safe, but Tatsuko tensed when she saw the man appear a few meters behind her with his arms crossed. Immediately, she turned and faced the man with her Byakugan active and ready for battle. However, the fact that he managed to locate her position in a second spoke highly of the man's skills as a tracker. She could see his chakra coils building up, meaning he too was prepared for battle. The woman was surprised by the sudden change to fire nature chakra as the hunter nin started a sequence of hand seals. Katan Gaokakir no Jutsu fire release, great fireball technique. Tatsuko bit her lip at the sudden hostility before initiating the Hyuga's defense technique Katen, she learned by stealing a scroll from the clan's archive when still a kunoichi under Konohagakure. With it, it was easy to block the fire technique. However, when she saw the man once more, she cursed at his mock clapping. I'm impressed, Hyuga. There aren't many branch members that are able to learn main branch techniques, except for one, but that's not the issue. Also, I didn't think you'd manage this on your own, seeing as you were still a genin by the time you escaped. One thing Naruto knew about the Hyuga clan was that aside from Neji Hyuga, the rest of the branch members despised the main branch. And he was capitalizing on this weakness as he could see the woman flinch by his insinuation that just because she was not a member of the main branch, she didn't possess the skills to learn their techniques. Tatsuko, for her chance, tried controlling her breathing a little bit. It was no secret the hatred between the different branches of the Hyuga clan, and the hunter-nin was capitalizing on her hatred. Stealing her resolve, Tatsuko focused on the Hyuga clan stance as the hunter-nin slowly approached her position. You know, I never bothered to tell my targets their options. I won't bother with you all the same. Get ready, Hyuga. Tatsuko didn't wait for Naruto, though, as she charged at him with the intention of closing his tenketsu. Her speed was interesting, Naruto reasoned. However, by focusing a bit of chakra through his legs, he was able to evade all of the tenketsu's closing strikes. Pumping chakra to his hands, he grabbed the hilt of his sword just as he dodged an incoming blow to his chest. When he took off the sword from the scabbard, it was already on fire as he aimed a diagonal strike at the woman, but she managed to move away from the dangerous attack by doing some backflips. However, Naruto wouldn't have it as he began a new series of hand seals, while molding a different elemental chakra. Fuden de Tapa no Jutsu Wind Release, great breakthrough technique. The woman couldn't even finish her movements as she was sent flying. Nevertheless, her eyes managed to save her life as they spotted a sudden lift of earth in front of her, courtesy of a Doton Jutsu. Flipping her body in midair, she managed to land both her feet on the now created hill before focusing chakra for a strong jump towards Naruto's position. The blonde was startled by the move as he got ready for anything. The woman landed a few meters from him before she initiated a familiar stance that Naruto instantly recognized. For a powerful clan as the Hyuga, their movements were too predictable given that you actually fought another member before and lived to tell the tale. I'm sorry, Hunter-san, but Kaiten isn't the only technique I learned from the main branch. Hakurokujuin Shao, 8 Divination Sings, 64 Palms Technique. Tatsuko quickly and swiftly began her series of palm strikes, landing the first 2 on the surprised hunter ninja followed by the rest 62 palms, before slamming the last one right on his chest, closing all of Naruto's tenketsu. However, her smirk died when the one she used her most deadly technique on vanished in a puff of smoke, revealing a tree log instead. She bit her lip at being beaten by a mere academy jutsu before looking around for the hunter ninja. She just couldn't believe a man of such chakra to revert to simple techniques such as this one. Suddenly 2 hands appeared from the ground grabbing her ankles, startling the Hyuga missing nin as her mind processed the information, and how to counter it. However, her Bakugan spotted a new enemy just in front of her making hand seals. Fuin Hayashi no Jutsu Binding Seal Technique. Naruto slammed his glowing hand on Tatsuko's neck, before focusing his chakra on the seal imprinted on his palm, just like his father's notes explained. Within seconds, ink marks started to appear all over her body, binding her in place. Usually, the blonde would be against testing this new technique against someone who could retaliate from close range, but it worked in the end. Though, he figured that the technique wasn't complete as the markings only went towards her waist, not binding her entire body, but at least enough to hold her in place for the death blow. Hyuga Tatsuko, a -ranked missing nin, considered guilty by the Hyuga clan and Council of Konoha of treason for openly attacking a member of the clan's main branch. This is your last chance to surrender. Tatsuko bit her lip cursing this man, and at the same time cursing her life. She never crossed paths with someone like this, it was unbelievable. Every damn attack she threw at him, it was either dodged or evaded. It was so frustrating, it was like he was one step ahead of her the entire time. Still, when she saw the flaming sword in his hands, she immediately knew it would be her end. Suddenly, all her life passed by her eyes in flashes as she realized her fate. Though, she briefly wondered why the man only sought to ask her to surrender after he won the fight. At least, I won't be killed by another Hyuga. I do not wish to surrender, Hunter-san. The moment I saw you, I knew you would be the one to kill me. I only want to ask one question, if I may. Naruto could see in her eyes that she already resigned her fate at his sword. Also, the markings could only be cancelled by either another Fuinjutsu user or himself, so he would let her ask. About what you said you knew one of the branch members that managed to learn the main branch techniques. Do you know his or her name? His name is Neji Hyuga, son of the deceased Hyuga Hazashi. So little Neji-kun. I always knew he was destined for more. At least, I'll die knowing that the clan has a future after all. Tatsuko only nodded in appreciation for Naruto, before she closed her eyes, not willing to see how she died by the hands of the hunter ninja. Half her mind only wished it would be painless. Her wish was granted as Naruto's flaming sword sliced her head off in less than a second, before focusing his chakra on a small katan jutsu to burn her body. Quickly grabbing a new storage scroll, he sealed the woman's head inside and wrote a quick report to the Hokage. After that, he summoned another messenger toad. Damakichi was on vacation and asked him to take the scroll to the Hokage, which the toad accepted and vanished just as Manjutsu appeared from her hiding place. Now that she's dealt with, I guess it's high time for some training. Wanna join Manjutsu-chan? The dog nodded, before Naruto managed a single hand seal. He gritted in pain, though, from using chakra, as the woman managed to seal up 2 of his tenketsus before he managed to escape her technique. Hey Fox, could you perhaps overload those tenketsus with your chakra? I'm in pain over here. I shouldn't, you know. You almost lost this battle, because you got too close for comfort. But what the hell? Give me 2 seconds. Kyubi said as Naruto was involved in red chakra for a moment, before the tenketsus were opened once more. Smiling behind his mask, Naruto returned to the task in hand. Kage Bunshin no Jutsu, Shadow Clones technique. Suddenly, 3 exact replicas appeared in front of him as they got ready to fight against Naruto and Manjutsu. Okay, aside from the sword, everything goes. Everyone ready? All the clones smirked at the terms as they all teamed up against the real one. Until now, Naruto never used his clones to this extent, but he figured that if anything he will better learn how to use his ninjutsu, maybe to the point that he masters them. Plus, he was meaning to get more acquainted to using Fuinjutsu in the midst of battle. He just hoped that none of them got too excited over this, otherwise he would need to worry about his limbs being sliced by wind techniques. Naruto didn't get to ponder more on the possible restrictions as 2 of the clones charged at him in taijutsu, while the third remained back for support. The real Naruto blocked an incoming kick on the ribs from the first clone and dodged a punch from another just as his eyes landed on the third clone, making hand seals. He had to think fast, otherwise he would be torched, as he saw the last hand sign. As the clones reached his position once more to stall him, the real Naruto blocked the incoming punch and managed to deliver one at the attacking clone's ribcage, sending him to the ground. These clones were created by using more chakra, thus they are more resilient to impact. The other taijutsu clone just jumped backwards as he knew the imminent technique was about to be completed. The ninjutsu clone, for instance, focused chakra to his lungs. Katan career end in fire release, Great Fire Dragon Missile technique. The clone then expelled the dangerous white flame technique straight at the real Naruto, who quickly focused on the ram seal. Doton Doriaki, Earth Release, Mud Wall technique. Naruto knew this technique wouldn't be enough to stop the most powerful fire technique in his arsenal. He was already developing a plan of attack when the mud wall started to crack under the pressure of the hot white fire. Looking at the dog by his side, they both nodded and scattered when the fire technique pierced his wall of mud. Manjutsu charged at the nearest clone with her Tsuyogo technique, dispelling it while Naruto charged the other 2. The clone nearest to Naruto blocked the assault, but wasn't fast enough to avoid a reverse kick aimed at his sideways. The clone was sent flying, just as Naruto finished some hand seals. Katan Zukoku, Fire Release, Head Mincing Pain technique. Beneath Naruto, a torrent of fire was created until it spread all the way towards the other 2 clones, dispelling them immediately as Manjutsu appeared by his side. Well, I guess summoning only 3 wasn't enough, huh? How about we raise the stakes, Manjutsu-chan? How about 10, this time? Think you're up for it? The dog's smirk was Naruto's only response as he made another bunch of clones with some of Kyubi's chakra to increase their resistance. Huh? How about summoning some toads as well? This is a secluded region, and I can't sense a single soul wandering around these parts. At least, it would please the toads a bit. Jiraiya once mentioned that despite summoning Gamakichi for tracking missing nins, Naruto didn't find usage for more. Sure, they understood his reasons, as a toad summoner would attract too much attention from Akatsuki, who knew this particular skill. Quickly summoning 10 cage bunchins, Naruto bit both thumbs before slamming both hands on the ground. The summoning kanjis immediately appeared from the ground, before 4 set of smokes appeared in front of him. He could see 4 battle-sized toads, all of them carrying weapons. They were a bit taller than he was, and Naruto smiled upon seeing some familiar faces amongst the 4. The toads, for their chance, greeted their summoner, while Naruto nodded at them and told their purpose for being summoned. He then took a moment to gather nature energy, seeing as his opponents were now toads, thus different from the bunchins. Monjitsu-chan, why don't we stay out of this training session for a while? I just raised the stakes a bit more than I should. The dog just nodded and went to the lake nearby to have some water and some rest, while the carnage began. At the cage summit . A great distance away from Naruto's position, the cages were busy dealing with the threat known as the Akatsuki. Mifune's idea to postpone the meeting for one day proved fruitful, as the parties were much more relaxed than the day before. Surely, the man was expecting such level of resentment, as the 5 hidden villages fought each other since their foundation. Nevertheless, he could see that despite being powerful on their own, the 5 cages know when to fight and when to concede. Looking at the Hokage, the man couldn't help but wonder about Konoha's force over the other villages. The Hokage was proof of that, as not once did she overact or use any sort of threat against her former enemies. Her voice was calm, as she brought a great deal of experience in fighting against the organization. After all, Konoha did kill the majority of their members on its own. As Tsunade explained to the other cages about some of Akatsuki's members and their known abilities, Kakashi and Guy were listening from the top-level floor. After the first meeting, the 3 arranged a meeting to discuss their strategies. Kakashi smiled at the fact that Tsunade managed to avoid either glaring at the Tsushikage, or even give the man any form of indication that she actually wanted his head on a silver platter. As to the meeting itself, the man had its reservations. The whole point of this meeting was pretty obvious at this point. Otherwise, the Raikage wouldn't even think of such a thing. The question was, would it be wise to take such course of action? The Scarecrow Jounin tended to be quite realistic, and he expressed his reasons to Tsunade, although the woman was convinced that should the proposition manifest, she would accept it. He just hoped, beyond hope, that history won't repeat itself. Seeing as all parties were up for it, Mifune gathered everyone's attention by clearing his throat a bit. I believe that all 5 of the cages agree with me about the mutual interest in getting rid of the organization Akatsuki. Therefore, I hereby propose an alliance to be formed by all 5 villages in order to deal with this threat. As soon as Mifune finished talking, there were murmurs from the top level, as none actually believed such a thing was possible, considering what happened in the past. The cages, though, aren't as skeptical, as each of them smiled at the offer, especially the Raikage, who wanted nothing but to destroy those responsible for his brother and Yujido. Indeed, an alliance between the 5 nations would build an unstoppable force. Akatsuki may be formed of S-ranked criminals, but there is a reason why they fear even one of us. Kumo is in favor of the alliance. Tsunagakure agrees as well. Gaara rose from his chair as he extended his support to Mifune's idea. His actions were mirrored by the Mizukage, who said that the mist was no longer known as the Bloody Mist, and was now searching for means to prove that. The Tsushikage, though, didn't express his agreement at first. As expected from a man of his experience, it wasn't easy to simply let go of the past and abide to this alliance. He looked at Tsunade, only to bite his lip at the thought of joining forces with the Leaf, the same village that was responsible for nearly extinguishing Iwagakure from the map. Worst of all was that only one man could be blamed. Damn you, Yondaime Hokage. Even in your grave, you mock Iwagakure, huh? I bet you're laughing right now from hell. But I have no choice. 3 villages already said yes to the alliance, and no doubt, Konoha will abide by as well. If I don't, then Iwa will be badly viewed by the others. I can't have that. Iwagakure accepts as well. If Tsunade was surprised, she didn't show it as she remained her impassive face as all four cages and Mifune looked at her waiting for her response. She couldn't help but smirk, though, as Iwagakure dig its hole even deeper by accepting this alliance. He just can't back away now. Konoha is in favor, however there is one matter I wish to clear out with my fellow cages before we proceed. The woman's smile was almost vicious now and her attitude changed completely. Others just wondered what was wrong with her, but the Tsushikage was suspicious. During the last Chunin exams held in Iwagakure, one of my genin shinobi reported to me some serious breach from the old pact of neutrality that our past generations worked so hard for. For you see, the genin named Uzumaki Naruto was deliberately attacked by the Tsushikage himself. While the genin is safe, the attack alone constitutes a severe breach on our pact. The rest of the population inside the room glared at the Tsushikage, demanding an explanation, but the Hokage had other plans in mind. Gaara's glare was the hardest, seeing as he was the one that protected Naruto from the kunai onslaught as well as Jiraiya. He even showed a faint smirk at the Hokage's political ability in getting what Konoha deserved without any form of retaliation. He knew that any wrong move on her part could jeopardize everything. The possibility of Konoha and Iwagakure engaging a new war once more would be devastating. And with the Akatsuki still on the loose, surely it would be something to capitalize upon in hopes of capturing the only remaining Jinchuriki. Just so all you know, Konoha doesn't plan on backing out of this alliance. We'll just settle for an easy agreement here with all our fellow cages as witnesses. Fair enough, Tsushikage Dono. The look on the man's face was priceless, and the woman was doing victory laps inside her head at her achievement. No doubt, Naruto's attack wouldn't go unpunished, and she could use a few A-ranked earth techniques to boost the strength of Konoha shinobi. Not to mention that the fine amount would serve to acquire new ninja tools that she knew people were complaining about the last couple of months. Mifune, for his part, cleared his throat one last time so as to get this meddling situation out of the way and discuss the alliance. I happened to read the Pact of Neutrality signed by all 5 cages after the last Great Shinobi War. As stated, any village that breaks the pact in any form of way will be condemned to a fine and be obligated to hand the attacked village 5 of the village's A-ranked ninjutsu. I believe that in favor of our present agreement, Tsushikage Dono, you won't object to this penalty. The Tsushikage narrowed his eyes at the smirking Tsunade. She must have planned this the entire time, he reasoned. Now, with 4 other cages as witnesses, it would simply be too high of a risk to deny the accusations. Thinking back to the assault on Minato's son, he cursed at the Kasage's interference. Those kunais would pierce Naruto's body entirely, and seeing as all the kunais were laced with poison, not even the almighty Kyuubi would be able to heal the boy. Iwagakure's revenge wasn't meant to happen, and Konoha itself made sure of that. No, I do not object, Mifune-san. I'll only ask that the Hokage can arrange some of her men to reach Iwagakure in 3 days. I'll have everything ready. Onoki spoke in a defeated tone, much to Tsunade's pleasure. I'll be happy to assign a team right after my departure. Now, let's continue with the meeting at hand, shall? Tsunade spoke, but was interrupted by a sudden feeling. I hate to interrupt this meeting, but it's all for good reason, I assure you. Everyone's eyes snapped in attention to 2 Akatsuki members, namely Pain and Madara. That's it for this part. If you enjoyed it, then like, share and subscribe for the next part, as it's going to be more interesting, and also check out the other playlist. Hope you would like them too.